Hey guys, welcome back to the Adlib podcast. And now we should be live. Just checking to make sure everything is okay. And we're good. Welcome back to the Adlib podcast. This is Andrea from the Adlib podcast. And today we've got a massive episode. So much to talk about today. First of all, obviously, this is the Super Bowl weekend, or was the Super Bowl weekend. And after that, obviously, we got loads and loads of trailers. Just going to give you the whole list of the trailers here. So we obviously got the trailer for A Quiet Place Day 1, first of all. Then we've got Kung Fu Panda 4 to talk about, Despicable Me 4. We've got If. We've got Dev Patel's Monkey Man. We've got Ryan Gosling's The Fall Guy coming as well. And then the big ones, right? Including Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. We've got Twisters. Who knew we were going to get a second movie after Twister? That's a surprise for me. We've got Wicked, of course. Lots of theater kids will be excited for that. And finally, we've all been waiting for Deadpool 3, which is now officially named Deadpool and Wolverine. So those are the trailers we've got for you today. And I am excited to talk about all of them. And I hope all the viewers and listeners in the chat are excited to talk about those trailers. But it's not just trailers we've got for you today, because then we've also got a bunch of reviews, so many reviews to talk about. I'm actually going to start the podcast by talking about a couple of movies that I watched the week before, but unfortunately we had a bit of an error with our podcast last week. And, well, the podcast ended, basically. These reviews include a review for The Promised Land, which is a fascinating Mads Mikkelsen movie, which I'll talk about in a little bit. I'll also be talking a little bit about Mr. and Mrs. Smith as well. So last week I also wanted to talk about that series on Amazon Prime, but I did not. So I'll talk about it a little bit in the introduction as well. Then at the end of the podcast, we've got all these movies. It's a lot of reviews, so buckle in, guys. I.S.S. We've got a review for American Fiction. We've got a review for Robot Dreams. We've got a review for The End We Start From. And we've got a review, Joe coming with his review for The Zone of Interest. So all those reviews and more coming to you today on the Adlib podcast. Let's get into it. So Joe will be joining us in a few minutes, possibly around 30 minutes time. So looking forward to having Joe on the podcast as well. But in the meantime, as we always do on the Adler podcast, here we talk about movies, here we talk about series, and here we talk about video games. And I'm going to talk to you about what I've been up to this week. First of all, I have to start off by talking about the latest episode of True Detective. So the latest episode of True Detective came out early. Episode 5 came out early because obviously of the Super Bowl. And so, for once, I had the time to watch True Detective right before it releases, before the podcast, basically, because usually we don't have time here at the Adler podcast to watch it. Basically, for us Maltese, it's the same day, right? Anyway, so that was season 4, episode 5, which released last week. And to be honest with you, I did quite enjoy the podcast. The podcast, of course, you're enjoying the Adler podcast. I did quite enjoy the episode. To be perfectly honest with you, I've not been completely convinced by True Detective. Let me share the screen with you right here. There you go. So I've not been completely convinced by the latest season of True Detective. I've loved the atmosphere. I've loved the acting. I think most of the performances are pretty decent, but the storyline really hasn't gotten going at all. Really hasn't gotten going at all, which is a bit of an issue, right? Which is a bit of an issue. So, to be honest with you, there are issues. Visually, I think it's well shot. I think it's a very well shot series so far. Some of the landscapes are beautifully done, and it's obviously all set at night because it's 24 hours at night, basically. The town of I.S.S here we're talking about, in Alaska. So it's all at night, but the lighting is beautiful, really well done. So it's a well-shot, well-produced series, but the the storyline, the narrative just couldn't get going, just bogged down. The latest episode really did a great job in pushing the storyline forward and forward very well. So if you've been watching True Detective and maybe you stopped at around episode 2, 3, I know a lot of people stopped watching this series, make it to episode 5, because episode 5 is a very, very, very strong episode. So that's it with regards to True Detective. Another episode I watched this week was Masters of the Air, which I enjoyed the first 2 episodes. Then episode 3 came, and I loved episode 3. It was such a great episode filled with flying action and really well shot action. And then we got episode 4, which was the latest episode. And to be honest with you, episode 4, although not as action-packed as episode 3, which was, I think, many people's favorite episode, I really, really liked episode 4 because finally we get a character-centric episode, which is what we've been crying about for so long. So thankfully, a character-centric episode, and I love just getting to know more about these characters, just hearing and getting to know more. And yes, there's something happened. I can't spoil it, obviously, but something happens at the end, which I don't like. The fact it was off screen, I was upset by that. But I understand why. I understand what the series is going for and where the focus is on, right? Where the focus is on, which is obviously the focus is all upon Callum Turner's character, Bucky. So yeah, that's with regard to Masters of the Air. I highly, highly recommend you check out Masters of the Air, which is releasing every week at Friday on Apple TV. So that's it with regard to Masters of the Air. Now, another series that released this week was we had the start of season 2 for Halo. And with all the hype behind the Super Bowl, obviously this kind of took a bit of a backdrop. Like everyone kind of forgot that Halo released this week. I did not, of course. So I watched the first 2 episodes of Halo on Friday, released on Friday, available on Paramount Plus, by the way. And I have some thoughts. Now, to be honest with you, I wasn't the biggest fan of the first season of Halo, right? I was not a fan at all of the first season of Halo. Now, season 2 has started off a bit better. Now, what were my issues with season 1? Let's start off with that. First of all, I did not like the way they dealt with the character of Master Chief. Not at all. I really, really, really disliked the way they dealt with the character of Master Chief. Lots of the stuff that happened in season 1 of Halo felt very out of character, and I did not like that at all. Secondly, the general narrative involving so many different side characters, which I did not care about, really, 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 really made my blood boil. Honestly, it's Halo. I want to watch a series about Master Chief. Is that too much to ask? Anyways, so long story short, I really didn't like season 1. Now, season 2 seems to have fixed things a little bit. In fact, the way the producers talked about this season of Halo was that it's a bit of a reboot of the whole show. And to be honest with you, the show itself is a bit better. Soundtrack is a massive, massive, massive improvement. Number 1. Great to be hearing the Halo team back in. I don't know why season 1 did not have the Halo team, one of the most iconic teams ever. You are Master Chief, Andrea. Sorry I have to miss this, but you'll be keeping me company now. Great to have you, Franco. I miss you on the podcast. Joe will be joining us, however, and he'll keep you company as well. Franco, good luck with your work. Unfortunately, work is what it is. So back to Halo. Now, what I did like about Halo Season 1 was some of the action, especially at the start of Episode 1 and at the end in the final episode, was decent. CGI was completely off. But I'm happy to say the production value for Season 2 seems to be much improved. Visuals look much better. The action in the first episode, in the first 15 minutes of episode 1, were bloody great. I love, love, love the action. Well shot, well lit, stable camera work, which I know Franco will enjoy. Good CGI effects on all the different creatures shown. So very, very promising start. And to be honest, the whole of episode 1 was a very, very, very strong episode, going into the psyche behind, obviously, the Spartans, and that's an important aspect, right? But then we go back to Quam, who is one of those side characters who I, personally, as a viewer who watched all of season 1, could not care about. And it's not, obviously, it's not my fault. It's the series which has to make me care about the character of Quam. And that is an issue, right? That is a massive issue which the series still has not solved. So good and bad here and there. I'm going to continue watching it because I'm a completionist. Still not completely convinced this is the Halo series we Halo fans deserved, but definitely an improvement on season 1, let's be honest. So that's Halo season 2. Now, into the more detailed review. And we'll start off with a show I watched last week. Actually, I guess it's the week before. Not much as Joseph Smith, but Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Smith was, I'll say, an interesting series, right? So obviously, I, like every other millennial, watched the Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie movie, and I went to watch it in the cinema. That was a fun experience. Very, very. I mean, I really enjoyed that movie. So much fun. Such a fun movie. And I was very skeptical about this, right? But eventually, I found out who was working on this show. I know there was obviously Donald Glover and most of the team behind Atlanta. I know there was his brother working on it, the directors as well. Some top quality directors working on it. We can get the cast and crew here. So we've got some very good directors as well here in the list. And the cast, right? Maya Erskine, Donald Glover himself, Paul Dano, Wagner Moura, Alexander Skarsgård, Dave Vettel, all great actors. John Turturro. So many different great actors showing here. Isa Gonzalez as well, who we spoke about last week. So many great actors showing in this show. And so finding out that, this was going to be, a solidly produced, well-acted show, because you've got great actors on, I started to feel a bit more positive about it all. So I started the show, and to be honest, from the first episode, I was like, holy crap, this is so good. Mr. and Mrs. Smith is a very, very, very strong series, in my opinion. Very well produced. I think visually, it's great. Great direction, great camera work. There is a certain element of, don't know how to describe it. It's like a certain element of coolness about this show. The characters are great. I mean, I love Donald Glover and Maya Erskine together. Great chemistry that starts developing at once from episode 1. I saw some people talking about the chemistry between the two. I don't know what you're talking about if you don't like the chemistry between these two, because I think maybe it's not Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie electric, but it's not far from that. Apart from the fact that they are two bloody talented actors. I mean, Donald Glover especially has so many strong moments in this show. Very, very, very strong performance. Now, I have not watched Atlanta. So I've seen a lot of people talking about how this is a kind of like a poor man's Atlanta. I haven't watched Atlanta, so I can't comment about that. But if this is a poor man's Atlanta, then Atlanta is a very, very, very strong show. Now, there are some negatives, however. I wasn't the biggest fan of most of the action. Now, there's a narrative reason for this, right? Because they are kind of beginners to all of this. So there's a reason. There's a reason why they are kind of like, feel like they're not the best when it comes to the action. Franco coming in with, what did they say about chemistry? They're great. Yeah, I agree. I thought the chemistry between them was fantastic. First episode was filled with a certain tension. Yes, and that tension develops throughout all the episodes. Franco, I don't know if you continued this show. Don't know if you had the time, but as I was watching, the tension keeps on pushing forward and forward, developing into very strong sexual tension between the two main characters. And then obviously, it's Mr. and Mrs. Smith. So I mean, I don't think it's a spoiler to say, you know what's going to happen between the two, right? Eventually, if you've watched the original movie, especially, you know exactly how it's going to end. So overall, I really, really enjoyed Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I thought it's a very well produced, very well produced show. I'm surprised it didn't get the traction that certain other shows get, which are very similar to Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Um, Something like Beef, for example. I'm not saying this is as good as Beef. I don't think it's as good as Beef, but still a very, very well made show. So yeah, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I recommend it. Well produced, well directed, well shot. The action isn't great, but again, there's a reason why. Performances fantastic. Overall, themes touched upon as well. Very millennial show this was. I empathize a lot with many of their thoughts and many of the themes touched in this show. Very made clearly for millennials. This show was, and yeah, a great show overall. So check it out if you have not done so already. Available on Amazon. This is finally Amazon getting a hit. They've needed a hit, Amazon. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk about now, before we get into the trailers, was a little movie I watched last week and I wanted to review, but unfortunately did not get the opportunity to do so. Was a little movie by the name of The Promised Land. Now, this was a great, great little movie, The Promised Land. And I'm just going to bring it up here onto the screen. That's the poster for The Promised Land. This was a great little movie. Now, one second. I just need to get this to Joe. So, sorry about that. We're back. So, this was a damn good movie. Now, I've talked about there are certain actors in Hollywood who go on the route of one for me, one for the studio, right? And Mads Mikkelsen is, I think, one of the best examples of an actor who goes for the one for me, one for the studio mentality, in the sense that he makes a movie like, for example, Secrets of Dumbledore, for example, Fantastic Beasts, Secrets of Dumbledore. And then he goes with, for example, he worked on, Indiana Jones. And then he makes a movie like The Promised Land. Now, The Promised Land is a fantastic movie based on the book The Captain and Anne Barbara by I.S.S. The Promised Land tells the tale of Captain Ludwig Kahlen, who in 1755 retires from service in the German army and with his pension decides to attempt to colonize the Jutland moorland. Kahlen hopes that if he's able to grow crops in these lands, the king would send him colonizers and funds for him to be able to set up a proper settlement. However, Kahlen's actions lead him to end up in conflict with the local magistrate and landowner, Frederick de Schinkel. Always easy to read your own plot summary, just to summarize the story. Now, The Promised Land, like I said, is a bloody fantastic little movie. And I have to start off by talking about the setting. Now, this movie is set, like I said, in 1755, and the majority of the story takes place in the Danish Jutland, the Jutland moorland, which was an area in Denmark which was basically completely wild, right? It was a land which was not colonized by anyone, basically absolutely wild. Now, this is a land where there is terrible weather, difficult land to work on, and Mads Mikkelsen's character decides that now that he's finished working with the army, he wants to go there and he wants to build a colony. He wants to farm, build a colony, and eventually become a lord. That is his final kind of like target, to become a lord. And it's really fascinating watching Mads Mikkelsen character on this long journey. It's not a short movie, mind you, it's not a short movie at all. On this journey. Now, this journey is hindered a lot, as you can imagine, by the land itself, the Jutland land, the Jutland moorland, because it's fascinating to see how the land itself, the Jutland moorland, becomes one of the main antagonists of this movie for Mads Mikkelsen's character. It's just fascinating to see. Now, It's the terrain is so inhospitable, the weather is so horrible, and those are the major battles, the major antagonists our main protagonist must face. Now, all of this is showcased with beautiful cinematography, really beautiful cinematography. It's just, I described it in my written review as a feast for the eyes because the way it's lit, the overall production design, surprisingly, really good production design. Like everything feels lived in, everything feels real. Like I think there was very little CGI used in this movie. Everything feels so real. So great cinematography, which is helped a lot by amazing production design. Now, um, as I described in my review, I thought visually this will remind you a lot of certain American westerns. Now, few months ago, we talked about obviously Killers of the Flower Moon, and this movie really did remind me of that. Now, this is not an action movie. The Promised Land is just a movie which is about this man who wants to build a colony. But there are definitely bursts of violence throughout the movie, which just come out of nowhere. And just like in Killers of the Flower Moon, they're going to shock you. Same thing here. Some of the action here was truly shocking. And Franco, in fact, saying this is what Napoleon should have aimed for. Very gritty, very real, very well produced. I mean, Napoleon was well produced, but there are, and listen, the costumes in Napoleon were great. The many of the palaces and castles used were great. So don't get me wrong. Obviously, Napoleon had a much bigger budget than this. But this just had this gritty feel, which I really missed in Napoleon. So I agree completely with Franco on that. Now, so visually, so well done. And there are so many memorable moments as well, so many memorable shots in this movie. I mentioned, for example, there was this particular conflict, right? This particular battle which takes place like midway through the movie. And it's all in this one take, beautifully done. One take really increases the tension as they quietly dispatch their enemies. Beautifully done. Just, oh, gets my cinematic juices going when I saw that scene. That was great. And this definitely, I mean, the poster itself will definitely remind you of Killers of the Flower Moon. That shot of the fields being burnt, such a beautiful scene overall. Really well done shot. Now, I also have to talk about another antagonist, however, because apart from the Jutland Moorland itself being an antagonist, we've also got a human antagonist. And this is one of the antagonists which I have most hated it for a very long time. And the name is Frederick the Schinkel, or older Joffrey Baratheon. Because Simon Benebjerg really does a great job in creating this antagonist who you really want to punch straight in the face from the very moment you see him. Like, I spent the whole movie just thinking up of ways which Matt Mikkelsen could kill Frederick the Schinkel. Honestly, the guy just is so easy to hate. And that's props to Simon Benenbjerg for giving us this great antagonist. Now, in the movie itself, we see Colin, who is obviously Mads Mikkelsen's character, as he starts to develop relationships as well. It's not just the community; his community grows, and he develops relationships with Barbara herself, who starts to become his kind of like love interest. And at the same time, we've got this youngster, Anmai Mus, all right? And I thought the relationships that develop there are really well done. I really felt the emotions there behind those characters. And I think Amanda Collin, especially, bloody fantastic performance by her. And to conclude my review for The Promised Land, we have to say that, honestly, Mads Mikkelsen was born for a role like this. We know Mads Mikkelsen eats up these gritty, dark characters, right? And it's the same thing here. Beautiful performance by Mads Mikkelsen. And all emphasized so well shot by DP Rasmus Widebeek. Sorry for the horrible pronunciation there, Mr. Rasmus, but thank you for doing such a great job in creating those beautiful wide vistas, those beautiful shots, those wide vistas. But at the same time, still giving us those strong, powerful character moments that we know and great actor like Mads Mikkelsen can give us. And this is definitely emphasized when we get those really good close ups to Mads Mikkelsen's eyes. And in those moments, even though Mads Mikkelsen is portraying this like gritty, dark character, we can see so many emotions going through his mind and through his heart and just from his eyes. Fantastic job. So, overall, I believe that The Promised Land is an excellent film. Excellent film. And just another great hit for the ever successful Danish film industry. Listen, trust me, I'm not the kind of person to say, listen, today they don't make movies like these anymore. They make great movies in Hollywood. But honestly, I want to see more of these kinds of dramas, these gritty, dark historical dramas. Please, Hollywood, give us more gritty historical dramas because I love them. So, those are my thoughts for The Promised Land. Those were my thoughts basically on a few movies and series that I've watched in the past few weeks. Obviously, we still have loads of reviews to go into later on in the podcast. But now, viewers and listeners, let us know what you think about, obviously, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Let me know if you have watched The Promised Land, and if not, what are you waiting for? Go and check it out. With that, viewers and listeners, in the chat, let's get into our first trailer of the day. And our first trailer of the day is nothing but, surprise, surprise, we got a trailer for another Sonic production. But this time, it's not a movie, it is a show. Now, we're not going to spend too much time on this because obviously, as you know, we've got loads of trailers to talk about. I'm just going to mention just a couple of things. So basically, this show, which is going to be available apparently on Paramount Plus in April, named Knuckles, and will bring back Idris Elba, who will reprise his role, which we last saw obviously in Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Now, the show itself is going to take place between the events of Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and the recently announced Sonic the Hedgehog 3. And apparently, Knuckles, as we saw in the movie, became one of Sonic's allies and a steadfast protector of the Master Emerald, a powerful gem that controls the series' mystical Chaos Emeralds. Knuckles is distinguished by his strong sense of duty, often leading him to work alone to fulfill his responsibilities. However, the plot now for the new Knuckles series will see his loyalty and bravery make him a valuable friend and ally in the fight against evil. The show will follow Knuckles on a new action-packed comedy adventure filled with pathos and self-discovery as he makes the decision to train Wade as his apprentice and teach him the ways of the Echidna warriors. Now, I'm not the biggest Sonic the Hedgehog gamer, right? Honestly, I don't think I've played any of the games. Maybe I've played one of the games, I believe, possibly on Nintendo. But again, I'm not the biggest fan of Sonic. But I've watched Sonic 1, which I thought was a pretty solidly produced, pretty solidly made movie. And I did quite enjoy Sonic the Hedgehog 2 as well. I believe we had reviewed that on the podcast quite a while ago. So I'm quite interested to see this. I mean, the fact that they got Idris Elba back to voice the character, that's already a very good sign, right? Because Knuckles was one of the highlights for Sonic the Hedgehog 2. And obviously, the fact that he's such a serious character put into so many ridiculous situations always makes for some very good humor. Now, another positive thing that I really enjoyed about seeing Knuckles in Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was it made for some very solid action moments. And I'm pretty sure the Knuckles, the show, will also have some decent action sequences as well. Now, we know that in these Sonic movies, the CGI is generally very good, very solid CGI. A lot of money goes into these Sonic movies, which, I mean, make a lot of money themselves. I'm interested to see how good the CGI will be in the show. I'm definitely going to watch it. I enjoy the Sonic movies, and I'm quite looking forward to watching Knuckles as well. Hopefully, the CGI is, I mean, I'm not expecting the CGI to be as good as the movies, but hopefully it still keeps up the standards. So I'm interested, quite interested actually, in checking out this little show. Let us know in the comment section below, viewers and listeners in the chat, your thoughts about the show Knuckles, coming on Paramount Plus in April. Next up is one I'm very, very excited to talk about. And I'm a little ashamed to say that I still have not watched the second A Quiet Place movie, because we've got A Quiet Place Day One. And the first trailer for A Quiet Place Day One has arrived. Mere minutes after the first images for the prequel film were revealed, the alien invasion begins in the upcoming prequel, directed by Michael Sarnowski, and the entire population of the world has to learn how to live without making a sound. The trailer for the upcoming prequel provides a look at how the planet ended up as the dystopian environment seen in A Quiet Place and A Quiet Place Part 2. The franchise, created by John Krasinski, Brian Woods, and Scott Beck, previously established that the monsters responsible for so many deaths weren't from Earth. But audiences will finally get the opportunity to see what happened in places such as New York City when the invasion began. So, it's going to be very interesting to watch this right now. First of all, I have not watched the second, The Quiet Place. I watched the first one, and I absolutely loved it. I thought the movie had great tension. I thought the CGI was great. I thought the character work there by Blunt and Krasinski, fantastic stuff. I mean, obviously they're married, so great stuff from A Quiet Place for the first A Quiet Place. It'll be interesting to see now with different characters. Now, the cast for A Quiet Place Day One is very, very, very solid. We've got Lupita Nyong'o, who, in my opinion, is currently one of the best actresses plying her trade in Hollywood. We've got Joseph Quinn, one of the hottest actors right now in Hollywood. Obviously, worked on Gladiator 2, saw him in Stranger Things, and working on some other stuff as well. So very, very, very hot actor there. We've got Alex Wolff and one of my personal favorite actors, Jimon Hunsu, who... How old is Jimon Hunsu? Actually, I have to check that. How old is Jimon Hunsu? Jimon Hunsu age. How old is Jimon Hunsu? It feels like he's 59. Damn. All right, so not as young anymore, obviously. I mean, he was born in 1964. Okay. Obviously, you remember Jimon Hunsu from Gladiator. Oh, the shame coming from Franco for not watching the second The Quiet Place. Oh, Franco, I'm gonna have to fix that. I'm gonna have to remediate that. 50 something. Yeah, he's 59. Franco is 59. I just checked it now. Bloody great actor. Bloody great actor. I mean, obviously, I, like probably everyone else, was introduced to Jimon Hunsu with Gladiator, one of my all-time favorite movies. And he was in Rebel Moon, right? He was in Rebel Moon, I believe. Yeah, he was in Rebel Moon. And you know how upsetting it is that I have to Google to see if Jimon Hunsu was in Rebel Moon. And that goes to show you how bad Rebel Moon was. Because when you've got such a great actor like Jimon Hunsu be in such a forgettable role like the one he had in Rebel Moon, oh, that's such a frustrating topic. I don't want to get that kind of worms open right now. And doesn't look a day older than 30. Not at all. The guy is ripped. Absolutely ripped, Franco. He's so ripped. He's the guy, man. He looks so powerful. Looks like he can grab your neck. He could grab my neck and just tear me to pieces. He looks like such a powerful man. But yeah, I mean, it's a great cast, right? Lupita Nyong'o, Joseph Quinn, Alex Wolff, Jimon Hunsu. Solid cast there. I think Quiet Place Day One looks like it's going to be another great hit for Krasinski. I'm guessing he's producing this, right? Apparently, he's not directly working on this, but they've set up the whole world. It's a fascinating world, and I personally am a very, very, very big fan of the Day One. Zombie apocalypses, aliens, whatever, right? For example, recently we had The Last of Us, and in the first episode of The Last of Us, as you know, we got the day one of these zombie apocalypse, basically. And well, zombies. I know we don't call them zombies in Last of Us, but who cares, right? And that episode was so well done. We don't talk about that here. No, we don't. No, we don't, Franco. Not anymore. Until the second one comes out, and then obviously we have to talk about it. So overall, very hyped for A Quiet Place day one. Looks like it's going to be another great entry into the A Quiet Place franchise, a franchise that I am happy to be seeing more movies made, and I still have to watch the second movie. And with that, let's move on to another trailer, which Michael Sarnowski is the director who directed Nicolas Cage in Pig. Oh shit, I loved Pig. I loved Pig. Actually, let me check out the movies Michael Sarnowski has made. I loved Pig. I thought Pig was great. Really liked Pig. Michael Sarnowski. Michael Sarnowski, director of 6 films. Pig, Quiet Place Day One, that, Rings. I haven't watched Rings. Don't know what this is, but seems to me like his biggest production was basically Pig. Right, that's the impression I'm getting now. I really liked Pig. I really liked Pig. Such a great revenge movie. Like one of the best revenge movies. Not revenge movies I've watched in a long time. And I was so upset that Cage got no Oscar attention that year. So upset about that. Now it's your time to tell me, Shane, because I still haven't watched Pig. Oh, shame, Franco, shame. Pig was a fantastic movie. Really liked Pig. And just even the such a fascinating, like, introspective into Nicolas Cage's character, but at the same time going into like the culinary world and giving such a beautiful critique of the culinary world. That's a great, you know what you should do, Franco? Watch The Menu and then watch Pig. Those are 2 great movies that go really well together. You'll be surprised how well they go together. Very good violence as well. Very bloody movie at times. That's shocking. But the ending is such a beautiful, subtle ending. I loved Pig. I think Pig made it into my top 10 movies that year, right? That movie came out when did that movie come out? 2021. Yeah, I believe it made my top 10 in 2021. Really like Pig. And the more I think, it's the kind of movie that the more you think about it, the more you fall in love with it. Great movie. Really underrated. One of those severely underrated movies. All right, and with A Quiet Place day one, I believe it's time to get into the Super Bowl trailers. Joe should be joining us any minute now, and obviously I don't think he really wants to talk about Kung Fu Panda and Despicable Me, so I'll just get through those really quickly. But viewers and listeners in the chat, time to get hyped because it's time for the Super Bowl trailers. Now, as you know, the Super Bowl remains the prime launching ground for Hollywood studios to debut either first looks for their movies or just a quick teaser just to get people hyped for the upcoming movies. And this year, I was shocked to hear this, but apparently every 30-second ad went for $7 million. $7 million, which is bloody crazy. Now, obviously, I mean, it's sad to say because this is, at the end of the day, a sporting event, right? And I do not care at all about the sports going on, which is, I know, for my friends will know I'm a big sports fan. I love football. I love so many different sports, but I just can't get into American sports, whether it's the NBA, the NFL, whatever, right? But as I've heard on the radio, apparently the game between the Kansas City Chiefs and San Francisco 49ers had this massive hype, especially due to the relationship that developed between Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, Chiefs tight end. I don't know what role that is. But I know that it's been a massive boost for the Kansas City Chiefs social media. Obviously, they ended up winning the game as well, which again helps as well, right? When you win the final. So the Kansas City Chiefs won the final. Apparently, I have no idea what I'm talking about right now. Let's get into the movies. Torta Taylor, yeah, pretty much Torta Taylor. And we're going to be talking about Taylor Swift actually in one of the trailers as well, which I found quite entertaining and clearly a major part of the whole hype behind the trailer itself. But let's get into trailers because right now I hate. You know what? Right now I feel like I'm one of those people who become big fans of football when the World Cup starts and they have absolutely no idea what they're talking about. I get really frustrated when that happens. And if any Americans are watching this right now, I'm sorry, I have no idea about the NFL. I have no idea who the 49ers are. I just know Dr. Disrespect supports them. I have no idea who the Kansas City Chiefs are. I just know that Travis Kelce plays for them and that you won. Congrats. Woohoo, go Kansas City Chiefs. Let's get into the movies. I think it's time to get to the movies. So, starting off with the first trailer I want to talk about. Just going to skim through this really quickly because we've already talked about this previously on the show. And here we are talking about Kung Fu Panda 4. Because one of the teasers shown at the Super Bowl was the teaser for Kung Fu Panda 4. Today, DreamWorks unveiled a new trailer for the animated movie, and it revealed that Po, voiced obviously by Jack Black, is at it again. The martial arts expert will take on a massive challenge, but this might be the biggest one of all, retiring. And in comes the biggest Kung Fu Panda fan in the world, Mr. Joe Paolella. How's it going, Joe?
You'll actually be surprised. I do quite like Kung Fu Panda.
Really?
Yes, I do.
Oh, shit. Thanks for saving me then.
I like the first one quite a bit. I don't think I've watched the third one, so I'm already contradicting myself here. But I did like the first two quite a bit. I think they're good childish entertainment.
All right. I only watched the first one.
It's Jack Black doing a voice role in a character which is basically him in animal form. So
fair enough. Astra, you're surprising me. I actually like the first one a lot, but I didn't watch 2 and 3. I'll have to remediate that before.
Yeah, it's been a while since I have watched them as well, but I remember enjoying them when I watched them.
Good stuff. By the way, Franco, should be working right now, Franco. It's okay. NFL is an Americanized, padded version of rugby. Joe will concur. What do you think, Joe?
It's even more boring chess, NFL.
Even more boring than chess?
Yes.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Because at least when I watch chess, there's like a good mental battle going on, and there aren't ads every 30 seconds trying to sell me bullshit. So that's being harsh. I know a lot of people like American football. I really don't. I think it's slow, and I think it's just become a spectacle based on celebrity as well.
No, the spectacle part, 100% agreed on, Joe. Do you watch it though, or do you avoid it?
I had a phase when I was like 13 where I followed like the Philadelphia Eagles for a little bit. And I mainly got into it because of like playing the PlayStation games. Like me and my friend used to play on like PS2, like Madden NFL, like 08. And those were fun. And I can still play those today, and they're more fun because like you're actually doing something. But then I've tried watching it and keeping up. And like I can't get, and like again, like being like full of myself, like it's like a padded version of rugby and stuff like that. It actually couldn't be further away from rugby in a lot of ways, not just due to the fact that they have pads and helmets. I can't get behind a game which stops that often. I just get bored.
Yep.
Like I'm someone I can find football very boring. Like the reason I don't watch club football is because I feel a bit cheated if I watch a game and I haven't seen any kind of goal. I hate a game which can finish 0-0, and that doesn't usually happen in rugby. It's very rare to get a draw of any kind. It's why I like stuff like rugby is a fast game. I love watching basketball because it's constantly moving.
Yes, basketball is a really fast game, Ostra.
Ice hockey is incredible to watch. I don't even know the rules, but just watching it is incredible. And I just can't in American football I know it's really tactical and they're good athletes, but I can't get behind the fact that they're throwing a ball or they're running it, someone's getting tackled, and the game is stopping then for minutes at a time, and then I'm being assaulted with ads at the same time in those times.
Yeah. I mean, in football, it has been creeping in as well, Ostra, whenever there's like an injury.
Yeah, no, it's
like,
going to.
Especially in Italian football, Jesus, when there's a Coppa Italia, it's like any kind of injury is like an ad break.
Yeah.
So it has been creeping in. At least it's only in the Coppa Italia and the league. You don't see it at least on TSN in Malta. You don't get ads. during the match itself. You only get it in the halftime, obviously, right? You've got 15 minutes. With regard to football, it depends, really depends on the team, to be honest. Because if you've got a team which are very defensive and which consistently foul, it's going to slow the game down so much. And I agree, it becomes really tedious and
controversial. You're going to hate me, but I used to hate watching Italian football for that reason.
See, now that's changed a lot.
I wouldn't know if it's changed. I haven't watched a game of football since like the last Euro competitions. Even like the World Cup, I didn't even watch because I didn't really care. But I know Italian football from 10, 15 years ago.
Yes, that's changed a lot because of a lot of young Italian coaches have matured now, and those young coaches developed a different style of football where like, for example, Inter, who are currently like leading by like 7 points, my favorite team, leading by 7 points in the league and doing very well as well in the Champions League. And they play very, very attacking football, like constantly passing the ball and attacking, very expansive football. So it's changed quite a bit. And even like, for example, De Zerbi, who went to England in the Premier League, he's known for very attacking football.
De Zerbi, he was the Brighton manager, no?
The Brighton manager, exactly. He's known for very attacking
Brighton's
football.
my hometown. I follow them very loosely.
Yeah. So there's this new generation of Italian coaches who have really changed the style. Sarri as well, for example, is not very attacking football. So it's changed a bit. That's changed a bit. Even Pioli, for example, at Milan, he plays attacking football.
It's good because as I said back in the day, I used to hate watching Italian teams play.
It's changed a bit. Then you still have the old school coaches, right, who play like super defensive football, constant fouls, constantly stopping the game. So it depends on the team pretty much with football. But yeah, I agree. Sometimes when there's like so many fouls and game constantly stopping, it gets on my nerves. I don't know how Americans actually watch the NFL with all the ads. Like we've got like 11 minutes of trailers here. Those were shown during the game, right?
God.
Plus all the ads.
It is like a big spectacle thing now.
Yes.
Like one of the big things that they're trying to claim it's bigger than the World Cup of football.
No, it's not.
It's not. I mean, like 4 billion people watch the World Cup.
Yeah, and like 100 billion watch the final, the Super Bowl,
which is
impressive
for a sport which is only played in one country in the world. Granted, that country is gigantic. It's still very impressive, but it is not football or soccer as they would call it. But anyway, I think we should get back to actual things that matter.
I mean, yeah, pretty much like movies. I mean, the NFL is also a mental battle, especially with all those concussions. True.
Yes, but they like to not do anything about concussions. I won't get into that.
Yeah, fair enough. Anyway, so Kung Fu Panda 4. So the last Kung Fu Panda released in 2016. It's been a while since they released it. Yeah. Apparently, it's made a lot of money, though. That franchise has raked in almost $2 billion, which is
I'm not surprised. It's got good talent behind it. Big names as well. And like they're not bad films. They're easily entertaining. They're perfect to like take your kids to.
I need to check them out. March 8th it's releasing. So I think I will go watch it in the cinema actually.
If you're a decent animated film and you release at the right time, you're gonna make a substantial amount of money.
I think March 8th is actually very smart because
yes, it's a good month.
You've got Dune coming out, but Dune is completely different niche, right?
But Dune, you're gonna, if you're someone with kids, you're gonna go when you manage to get like a babysitter or something.
Exactly. And then when you've got the kids, take them to Kung Fu Panda.
Exactly.
So Kung Fu Panda 4 coming out March 8th, and in the meantime, I have to check out Kung Fu Panda 2 and 3. So I've got basically 20 odd days to check that out. Next up, this trailer cracked me up. Joe, I don't know if you saw the Despicable Me 4 trailer. No, I'm not going to watch Despicable Me 4, to be honest with you.
I did watch the trailer, but I'm going to sound really grumpy here. I just really don't care.
But you like just looking at the quips on AI and whatnot.
Yeah, like it's clever, but then like the fact that then like it just goes to relying on minions again, like it's gonna sound again like I'm really grumpy and like I'm putting people down. If you want to enjoy Minions, go ahead and enjoy Minions. I did not even enjoy Minions when the first Despicable Me came out. I thought they were just an annoying thing to sell toys to kids, which it turns out they were, basically. But yeah, it's not for me to judge people enjoy it. I do like the quips on AI, as you say. I guess that's very funny.
This is so good. I love this.
But yeah, this was one. So I was glad it was short. At only 30 seconds.
Yes. I mean, $7 7 million, Joe, for every 30 seconds. $7 million. No shit, it'll be 30 seconds only. Holy shit.
Unless you've got budget like Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, like
or Twisters as well.
Or Twisters, and obviously Deadpool, right?
I mean, with Deadpool, they have Disney money.
Yes.
And I think Disney own ESPN as well, don't they?
Yes. I'm not sure.
So I guess if it's on ESPN, it's basically free.
They're paying themselves. But I liked, I mean, it's smart. It's a nice, very, very, very relevant topic right now. Like, this is so good.
Yeah. I like the one of the people eating the spaghetti. That was a good one as well. Where like it's almost extremely real, but there are just very fake bits.
Yes. So it's very smart, very I got the dogs. Very relevant right now to the topic of AI, of course. But I don't know. I'm not getting what the message is here. Like, are they just making fun of AI, or is there like, is this an important plot point? Basically, I don't know if
yeah, I wouldn't know. And also, usually Despicable Me features the character of Gru.
Yeah.
And you've just done a trailer which only features Minions. Like, if I watch this without being told it was Despicable Me, I would go, this is Minions too.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, the last like movie in this world, the Minions: The Rise of Gru, had like this massive TikTok explosion.
Yes, it had the meme of people suiting up and going to the cinema and then being kicked out because of it, which was kind of funny.
Because they made a complete ruckus. Yeah. But that movie did it make $1 billion or close to $1 billion?
They're definitely close to. I mean, I would say 40% of that is people buying tickets for a joke, but I mean, it's money in the bank at the end of the day.
Money in the bank. So when these like natural TikTok phenomena start, whether it's Barbenheimer, whether it's this with Minions, but it has to be natural. It can't be forced. It can't be something like Elemental, for example. Elemental tried to make a whole big deal out of this character on social media, and it fell on its face completely. Although to be fair,
you need people to pick it up themselves.
Yes, yeah, it needs to be natural, not the corporation, the massive corporation trying to push. Look how cool we are! Hashtag, right? And this worked. It clearly worked because it made a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't really care about Despicable Me 4, to be honest.
No, I will definitely not be rushing to see it.
No. Now, this is one I don't know if I should get excited for or not. And now I'm talking about If, which is the John Krasinski's If. It's weird. I already talked about the John Krasinski. Like I talked about A Quiet Place Day One. And now I'm talking about the John Krasinski movie. Feels very weird. Anyways, If also got a trailer. And If obviously stands for imaginary friends. What if the imaginary friends we grew up with were real? Well, we'll find out in John Krasinski's If, as Ryan Reynolds' Cal and Kaylee Fleming's Bea anyways, work to save all the Ifs. While you might not expect this family-friendly flick on the 2024 movie schedule to be from the guy who plays Deadpool and the director of A Quiet Place, it honestly looks like such a wholesome good time. And after seeing the Super Bowl trailer, I'm even more excited to see If on May 17th. So quite soon, actually. I already commented about the original trailer. Joe, I don't know if you watched the original trailer and if you saw this.
I've only seen this trailer from the Super Bowl.
What do you think?
The concept is essentially Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends with some slight changes. If you remember that cartoon on Cartoon Network from back in the day.
I think I do.
It's a weird one. The idea is original and it's probably going to hit pretty well with kids. Although it might fall flat because we live in such a world of like IP and recognizable characters. These are obviously like imaginary beings. They're all brand new. But then again, kids are the first ones to take to something new and colorful that they like and then turn it into IP that way. What's annoying me about this, and it's something which has been like building for a couple of years now with me, is the Ryan Reynolds of it all. Now, he's someone who, especially outside of films he's making, I like a lot. Seems like a very good person, does a lot of good work for people, like his stuff with Wrexham Football Club and for charities, stuff like that. Seems like a very well-to-do man. My issue is he ever since Deadpool, he is Deadpool in all of his films. Just
Ye-
slightly toned down.
Tone down, tone down,
He's
tone down.
doing the Dwayne the Rock Johnson thing of he's the same person in every film that he's in.
Uh-huh.
Where
Agreed.
we need him to be quippy and a little bit dry and a little bit sarcastic. You know?
Yeah. I get it.
And not that from like this obvious children's film I'm expecting some kind of Oscar-worthy performance. But
Joe, had you watched his Netflix movie? He had a Netflix movie.
The Adam Project.
The Adam Project, which was
No,
actually
I've
surprisingly decent for a Netflix movie.
I value my time instead of watching Sean.
It was
Eli
not
movies.
bad, huh? It was not bad. It was not bad at all.
Not from what I heard, but if people enjoyed it, people enjoyed it.
No, I watched it. I did not mind it at all. It's 2.9 on Letterboxd, to be fair. I didn't hate it. I think I gave it a 3, if I remember correctly. I believe I gave it a 3. Oh, I mean, this is then going to lead us to Deadpool. I wanted to leave Deadpool for last, but that movie was directed by Sean Levi, who I have lots of issues with, to be honest. Yes. I have lots and lots of issues with. But this is directed by Krasinski, and I mean, from what he's done so far.
It's definitely a zag from what he was doing before. I don't know.
The guy looks decent enough, to be fair.
Yeah, it's definitely not aimed at me.
No, that's 100% not aimed at us. By the way, Franco saying, Madonna, that was so fake, the elemental thingy. Yeah, it was 100% fake. 100% fake. And it felt fake. Felt fake watching it. But, you know, it's a weird age group who are being targeted here. Ryan Reynolds, since we link him so much with Deadpool, and John Krasinski, since we usually assume John Krasinski is making like a mature thriller, horror, whatnot movie. The fact that they're working on this movie basically aimed at 8, 9, 10-year-olds.
Yeah.
No one older. Because even once we get into the 12, 13-year-olds, they might see this movie and think it's like for babies.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't want to go and watch it. So I don't know. It's a very weird age group I think they're going for here. I don't know if I'll watch it. I'm not sure if I'll watch it or not. I probably will wait for the reviews first before I commit. Yeah. To be fair, the cast, if you go through the whole cast, Steve Carell, Krasinski himself, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, Emily Blunt, Matt Damon, Maya Rudolph, Sam Rockwell, Awkwafina. Oh no, not Awkwafina again. Oh God, I can't stand her voice, sorry. The cast itself is bloody great.
Yeah, I mean, Krasinski is obviously a very, very well connected guy in Hollywood. So
yeah, definitely. Surprised Emily Blunt is not in. Oh yes, no, Emily Blunt is in this. Yeah, of course she is. I love Emily Blunt.
Steve Carell, he would have known from all his years.
Oh, 100%. And there was some. Did you watch The Office, by the way, Joe?
Yeah, I've seen every season of The
Was
Office.
there some joke between Krasinski and Carell? I believe. I'm not sure.
I mean, there's a couple over the 9 seasons.
Where they're like they mix the both of them. Was that a thing, or was that with another actor?
No, that was with Dwight Schrute, played by Rainn Wilson. Because Jim, the character of Jim, always pranks Dwight, and one day to prank him, he goes in dressed as him.
Okay, all right.
That was it.
Because I know during the Super Bowl they made some kind of joke before they presented this trailer, where they like mixed up 2 of the actors. They did it on purpose. I don't know.
Okay.
And they said it was a reference to The Office. I haven't watched The Office, so I can't say. But to conclude, if it's a solid, heartwarming story, which kids can go to watch and which parents can enjoy as well.
Yeah.
I don't see why this doesn't make decent money.
Hopefully it's a good one for kids.
It's like Ari Aster making a Christmas family movie. True.
Yeah. I wouldn't go as far as that.
Maybe not as far as that.
I get the sentiment.
Issa, Joe, you weren't here when we talked about this trailer, and we just got a quick teaser for it. And as far as I know, there was loads of hype for this little
Oh no, there's a longer trailer for this, which came out a couple of weeks ago.
Yes. We already talked about it. Me and Franco had talked about
it. Looks like the fucking coolest thing I've ever seen.
Exactly. So, for our viewers and listeners who don't know what we're talking about, here we're talking about Monkey Man, which obviously is work done by Oscar nominee Dev Patel, who's worked on stuff like Slumdog Millionaire, Lion. He's worked on, obviously, one of my all-time favorite movies, Joe.
The Green Knight.
The Green Knight. I love that movie. I need to get the Blu-ray for The Green Knight, by the way. Achieves an astonishing tour de force feature directing debut with an action thriller about one man's quest for vengeance against the corrupt leaders who murdered his mother and continue to systematically victimize the poor and powerless. Packed with thrilling and spectacular fight and chase scenes, Monkey Man is directed by Dev Patel from his original story and his screenplay with Paul Angunawela and John Colley, who, the guy who wrote Master and Commander, The Far Side of the World. I love that movie. Where did this guy come from? like, how does he go from Master and Commander to Monkey Man? I don't know, but I love it. I'm such a big fan of that movie. It's such an underrated classic at this point. Cast includes Charlton Copley, who worked on District 9, Sabita Dulipala, Made in Heaven. I haven't watched that. Peter Bash, $1 Million Arm. Lots of Bollywood actors here.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of that kind of representation. I can't wait for this film. I remember when I found the trailer on Twitter like about a month ago, and I was you guys know my big thing. I'm a huge fan of Dev Patel as it is. But my big thing with Dev Patel is I wish the cowards in charge of James Bond would cast him as James Bond.
Yeah.
Because I think he's got the charisma, he's good looking. And as we can see here, he can do all the stunt work and then some. Apparently, his reason for developing Monkey Man is he always wanted to do something action-focused because he comes from a martial arts background. Like growing up, he had done loads of martial arts training and always wanted to use it in his acting. Never got the chance, so just decided, fuck it, I'm going to do it myself. And this was supposed to be a straight-to-Netflix film initially. But apparently, Jordan Peele had seen early previews of it and was like, nah, fuck that. I'm going to convince Universal to buy it because this needs to be seen on big screens. And I think partly because of, one, it looks amazing and stylish. Jordan Peele is someone where he had openly said, him as an African-American said, he doesn't plan to make films about white people. He plans to make films about black people because he is black and that's what he knows and that's what he wants to do. And I think he's seen Dev Patel doing a similar thing here.
Yeah.
Where he's taken, as you say, mostly people from Bollywood. He himself is part Indian, part British, and he's doing a story based with those people. And that is what diversity is in these kinds of things.
Exactly.
Where you have people from all these backgrounds coming together to make something which is so uniquely them in their own tone. Like I can't wait. The use of Punjabi MC in the longer trailer. That's one of my favorite party songs that there is.
True.
As a guilty pleasure, but the way they do it is a kind of cool remix as well.
Yep.
I love everything about it, and Patel just looks incredible in every shot in it.
By the way, talking about Jordan Peele bringing this to cinemas, just a quick reference, and that is in stark opposite of what's happening right now at Warner Brothers with Coyote versus, what was it called? Coyote versus Acme.
Yeah.
The John Cena movie, right? Which in my opinion is a horrific Black Mirror episode in itself of cinema.
They've done it before. They did it with the Batgirl movie.
But apparently the Batgirl movie was bad. So,
but we don't know.
But that's what everyone said, right?
And
everyone talking about
people still worked hard on it for it to get seen.
Yes, that's true. But everyone who watched this movie says it's great. Yeah. Granted, it's all friends of the director and the producers, so there's that.
Yeah.
But everyone said it's great. I don't know what's going on there. But
I mean, the weird one with Warner Brothers with the whole Batgirl one is that you had a movie which was 100% done. It was finished, ready to be released. And then you had The Flash, which was doing loads of reshoots and re-edits and stuff like that. and it had the big Ezra Miller problem as well. And you decided to fully cancel and erase from existence the movie that was 100% done and non-controversial, and pour money into the one with the controversial figure at the head of it, which wasn't done and was problematic, and in the end wasn't very good.
Not good. Yeah. But I mean, Monkey Man looks great, right,
Yeah,
Joe?
Monkey Man
this
looks incredible.
looks incredible, stylish, good humor as well. I laughed like twice when we talked about it, me and Franco. By the way, Franco mentioning Jomon Vikesh. Who's that, Franco? Jomon Vikesh. Not ringing a bell right now. But when he goes to jump through the window and he bumps and falls back, that really made me laugh. So good fun, great style, great action. Look, physicality behind it looks excellent. So really good stuff. Really looking forward to this one. So that is Monkey Man. Next up, Joe, I don't think you were here when we talked about this trailer either, right? The Ryan Gosling Fall Guy.
No.
Anyway, yeah,
because I did watch this new trailer.
But this looks interesting. So before, just to mention an introduction for it, Universal released a Super Bowl ad on Sunday for David Leitch's thriller, which features multiple action sequences, aliens, and space cowboys. In one scene, Gosling cries in his car while listening to Taylor Swift's song All Too Well. Based on Glenn A. Larson's 1980s television series of the same name, The Fall Guy stars Gosling as Colt Seavers, a stuntman on the hunt for a missing movie star he once doubled for. The film also stars Blunt as Gosling's ex-girlfriend Jodie and Aaron Taylor Johnson as the AWOL star. Supporting them in the film is Stephanie Shu, Winston Duke, Hannah Waddingham, and Teresa Palmer. Great cast as well here. The Fall Guy hits theaters May 3rd. Joe, what do you think about this movie?
It looks okay.
This film has...
I didn't. I don't love parts of it. I think, selfishly, I think people like Blunt and Gosling are wasted on something like this. But it's David Leitch, so it might be good. At least the action might be good. The thing is, like, the tone I'm getting is it's going for a very Shane Black type of tone, like the Shane Black, the guy who wrote the original Predator. Then he did Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. He did The Nice Guys as well. Which is this kind of, it's this action but with this like comedy in it, and it's very hard to do. And I find only like in Hollywood, Shane Black really nails that. And I could be wrong. Someone else could obviously do a good action film with comedy in it, but I don't know. I feel like parts of it have a bit of an identity crisis, like this bit here of him holding the guns, and then you have the bits of him like interacting with Emily Blunt. They seem like they're from totally different films, in my opinion.
Which I think they are, because this is probably one of the movies they're shooting in.
Yeah, I know,
in
but
the
like
movie itself, right?
Even just overall, like tonally, I think it might be a film just because there's going to have to be some kind of like human element to it with like the ex-girlfriend stuff and then the pursuit of this missing star. I think there's going to be more human interaction than, let's say, John Wick, which is something Leitch has done before.
Yeah.
And I think that is probably where the cracks will show. I think the action will be good. It'll be fun. Probably very big.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like Ryan Gosling's having a really weird like later stage career that I don't think I love for him. Like when he went and did Blade Runner 2049, I'm like, holy shit, this guy's going to now go into like straight prestige stuff and only do that. But then he goes and he does The Gray Man for the Rousseaus, which like sucks. Then he goes and does Barbie, which is great.
To be fair, it was the best part of that movie. So he was really good in The Gray Man for the horrible like script he had. He did a really good job in that movie.
Then he does Barbie, and Barbie's really good.
Yeah.
And he's great in Barbie. He's nominated for an Oscar, deservedly so. But then he does something like this. He could just be like just trying to make like a bunch of money. He's got 2 kids.
David Leitch did the stunts, right? Was a stunt man and stunt coordinator
originally
before.
A stunt man and stunt coordinator, yes.
Yeah.
On the Matrix films, and then did John Wick.
Yeah, he did John Wick. Yeah, it shows
he did Deadpool as well.
Yeah, it's Bullet Train all over again. Yeah, I can see like some elements of the humor of Bullet Train in this style.
I really didn't like Bullet Train. Like,
I haven't watched Bullet Train, Ostra.
I didn't find it like very funny at all, and it was meant to be partly a comedy.
But Bullet Train is one of those movies. I feel like I've watched the whole movie on YouTube by now. Like every single clip that comes up on my reels is a scene from Bullet Train.
It's deceptively long because like I watched it and I thought the film was about to end, and I was only about like an hour and 10 minutes in, and I had like another 50 minutes to go, and I'm like, an action film should not feel this slow.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. There are lots of fans of Bullet Train. Lots of people liked it.
Yeah, and for a film called Bullet Train, it should also not move that slow as well.
He did. What's this? Deadpool, no good deed. What's Deadpool, not no good deed?
I have no idea what that is.
Yeah, it's it's a short film. I did a
Okay.
short film for Deadpool, no good, no good. But he did Deadpool too. Oh boy, not great.
He
I mean,
did
it
the
wasn't
lesser
bad.
Deadpool.
Not bad,
It's fine.
but not great. Atomic Blonde,
Mm-hmm.
which
Otherwise known as Jane Wick.
Jane Wick, fair enough. The Charlize Theron one.
Yeah, it had that one fantastic staircase scene.
Yeah.
That's all I remember from Atomic Blonde. I couldn't
And
tell
he
you
did
what
the
plot was
Fast and
about.
Furious. Oh boy, Hobbs and Shaw.
Oh, good.
Oh no. Okay, so not great. Not
That's what I
great
mean.
stuff.
The action, I
Mid.
have no doubt, is going to look at least pretty good to good. But
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully the humor works, because I think this is a movie which will depend a lot on its humor, and it's going to depend a lot on the relationship, like you said, between Emily Blunt and Ryan Gosling. That's going to really. I mean, they're two great actors, so maybe even if the script is not great, maybe they can pull off
hopefully
some
hopefully
kind of
they've got at
miracle.
least like good chemistry.
Yeah,
and that works out. But we'll see.
Now this is one I am super excited about, because I am a big Kingdom of the Planets fan, like from the original, the 1968 version.
Yeah, I would say the same. I love the Planet of the Apes.
You know, the 2004, was that the 2004 version?
Don't say you like the Tim Burton version.
That is a
sucks. It
guilty
sucks.
pleasure of mine. But to be fair, Joe, to be fair, I was 11 when that came out, and it used to come up on. We had Canal Plus, I think, at home back then, and they used to show this movie, that movie, every single time when I got home after school at 3. At 3, every single day, Planet of the Apes. And I would sit down and
have you
watch
watched it since then?
No.
Good, don't. Because I, like you, when I was, I would say maybe 10 years old, I loved that film. And then I thought when I was like 20 or something, I'm like, I really used to like that Planet of the Apes movie. Why is it so badly reviewed? Let me go back and watch it, and it stinks. Like, it's really bad. Okay. So keep your fond memories.
Yes, I will.
But it is not good.
I will. Anyways, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes met Chiefs Kingdom for a Super Bowl spot during the Kansas City Chiefs San Francisco 49ers game. 20 centuries behind the film, takes place hundreds of years after the events of War for the Planet of the Apes. And I think this is something that they need to do in Star Wars as well, Joe.
Yeah,
just cut off completely, keep the memories, keep some like small references here and there, because we all love our small references, which they do in the trailers, and I think they do very tastefully as well. But in this world, apes have become the dominant species, with humans living a nearly feral existence. It's a very nice change of roles right there.
Yeah, it's almost gone full circle now.
Yeah, pretty much gone full circle. And I guess if they're trying to make a trilogy out of this, probably the trilogy will end up with humans taking over at the end of the trilogy, possibly, where they go completely 360 degrees.
Maybe they want to end it on a good note, and it will end with apes and humans living in harmony.
Or maybe that as well. It shows one ape ruler enslaving others as he seeks out ancient human technology, while a different ape works with a young human woman on a quest for freedom. Owen Teague, Freya Allen. I really like Freya Allen. She's a great actress. Peter McCon, Eka Darville, Kevin Durand, William H. Macy. Not too familiar with many of these actors. And coming from director Wes B.A.L. Wes Ball. No, Wes B.A.L. It's written.
Yeah, Wes Ball.
Wes Ball.
Yeah, he's got some, as far as I know, pretty exciting things on the horizon as well after this. Or
he's got Maze Runner, right? He's done the Maze Runner. I remember.
He's the Maze Runner guy.
Yeah,
which apparently a lot of people fight for as like pretty good films.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
I haven't seen
decent ratings on Letterboxd, because I remember checking it out when we had seen the first trailer. Releases on May 24th. Anyway, Joe, what do you think?
Just on Wes Ball as well, he's set to do a live-action adaptation of The Legend of Zelda as well.
Okay,
so that's
all right, good on him.
What do I think of this? I think it looks pretty good. I love the Matt Reeves trilogy with Andy Serkis about Caesar.
Yes.
I think those got progressively better as well. You had like the first one, which is like a good introduction. Then you had the second one, which is like a war movie, and then the third one was this like ultra mature like espionage
Yes.
kind of movie.
Oh, that
Really
scene
good.
when they come in with the guns.
Yeah,
Where
with a
in the dark.
terrifying Woody Harrelson in it
Oh
as
my
well.
God, Woody Harrelson in that was so good. I love that scene. I watched all three of them in this because my family are all big Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes fans as well. So
It's good going into this. Like it's doing the good thing, as you say. What you should do with a spin-off and a universe, it's jumped ahead substantially in time, and it still feels familiar whilst being new. You know, like the effects look incredible. You know that there's going to be like now talking intelligent apes, but they're doing something different and they're doing something new, and they're not relying on the likes of like Andy Serkis and Caesar to move things along.
yes.
So it's a really nice like middle ground where they have that familiarity, but they kind of have a blank canvas at the same time. And when I like that trilogy as much as I did, I kind of give you like a free pass, so I can get excited for this and go like, cool, show me something cool. And so far, the things I've seen of it do look cool. It does seem like from the trailer that they're doing like a sort of reverse. This is actually somewhat a criticism from me as well, but they're doing like a somewhat reverse, like old wolf and young cub kind of thing.
Fair
which
enough.
we're seeing a lot of nowadays with the success of like The Mandalorian and The Last of Us stuff. It is one of like the oldest storytelling tropes that there is, so I can forgive it. And when it's done well, it works. And when it's done well, I really like it.
Yes,
there is that as well. But I could be wrong. We'll see.
I'm excited. The CGI, as always, looks great because the CGI has always been brilliant for these
fantastic
Planet of the Apes. I don't know how they get like the effects on the apes so like beautifully done. So Caesar was just a masterclass in CGI.
That's the only thing I'm ever so slightly concerned about. Like a lot of people, and this is one thing I was beating the drum for back then, for Andy Serkis to be nominated for Best Actor for those performances. There's so much that goes into those performances as Caesar, which Andy Serkis was doing. And a lot of people will think that it's just CGI doing a job. It's not. The way the actors are using their eyes and contorting their faces in certain ways to get these expressions from animals is ridiculous. And Andy Serkis is pretty much the guy who pioneered that kind of acting with his performances as Gollum in The Lord of the Rings.
Exactly.
And he's the best at it, hands down.
Yep.
So not to say that these other people playing apes in this film will not be good, but that is one thing it has going against it. You don't have the Andy Serkis trump card of there's going to be a phenomenal performance of someone playing an animal.
Yes, that's very true. Very true. Anyways, looking for this one, May 24th. Next up is a weird one. Very weird one. I don't know what's going on here, but because we got the trailer for Twisters. Now, I have not watched the original.
I have.
So I cannot comment about how good the original was.
The original is good in a kind of like kitschy, campy way. Like I remember watching it on a VHS tape at my grandmother's house in England, like when I was like 5 or 6 years old. I have very little thoughts on this trailer. I'm coming here like after like missing this like show for like weeks and just doing my regular like negative thing. But like I just don't think this looks very good. I just don't.
No, I agree. By the way, I agree on it not looking very good.
And it's a shame because I like the people in. Like I love Glenn Powell.
Mm-hmm.
I like Daisy Edgar Jones when she's good, but she's been on a stinker run at the moment. She's been on like a really just choosing really bad material for like who she is as an actress, in my opinion, at least. And this might be another one.
Oh God. By the way, Franco telling us, hey, but we have Andor season 2 coming up. So yeah, that's a positive for Star Wars. Toby Kebbell is also decent as King Kong.
Yeah, Toby Kebbell, actually, he was in
True.
the second film in the Matt Reeves trilogy. He was Koba, the one that becomes like evil. Why do I have balloons flying around me?
Happy birthday.
That was weird.
Yeah, very weird. I think it's AI generated. I think when it hears a certain word.
What did it hear? It hear me say the word Koba?
Like last time, someone said congrats, woo, and there was like a celebration thing coming up on screen.
That's bizarre. That's tripped me out a little bit. But yes,
Anyways.
Toby Kebbell has done that kind of acting before, and he is quite good. Yes.
Yeah, and we have to talk about the director of this all because I just commented.
Yes, this is the most bizarre thing about it.
How do you go from
understand.
Minari to Twisters? Like, I don't get what's going on. But just to introduce this to our viewers, first trailer for the standalone sequel Twisters, which touched down during Super Bowl, puts Glenn Powell, Daisy Edgar Jones, Anthony Ramos in the middle of the weather-related peril. Lee Isaac Chung, who was the director for Minari, one of the, like we said, weirdest director choices ever. Action film hits theaters July 19th from Universal Pictures. It is a follow-up to director Jan de Bont's fondly remembered 1996 flick Twister that starred Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton as two storm chasers who tempt fate while trying to develop a new weather alert system. Twister's co-stars Kiernan Shipka, David Corenswet, Sasha Lane, Maura Tierney, Katie O'Brien, Brandon Perea, Daryl McCormack, Harry Haddon-Patton, Nick Dodani, and Tunde Adebimbe. Sorry about the name, or the surname. I mean, it's a decent cast of very, up-and-coming young actors, to be honest. It's an interesting one, right, Joe? I mean, I think the trailer doesn't look great at all. Like, nothing about it, like, visually screams this is a very watchable, little disaster movie, right?
Yeah.
To be fair, I am quite a fan of like the whole elements versus humans kind of movies. I think they make for some decent thriller action movies.
Yeah.
At times. I mean, generally the human characters are, like with the whole monster movie issue, not very well written. But at least you've got the whole tension of it all, right? Which is sometimes fun to watch. I'd say that. Hot take, I might actually watch this in cinema, both because of the weird director choice and the CGI looks quite good. CGI looks okay.
To be fair, this is one where I'm just like, it doesn't look like something I would want to watch, or it could be like a so bad it's good, maybe. But I'm also just like really willing to be totally surprised, because why would Lee Isaac Chung take this on unless Minari was like a total fluke, which could also be the case as well.
True. Very true.
Doesn't feel like it, because that was like an impeccably directed film and written film.
I mean, he got nominated, no, for
he did,
best director in that. So yeah.
But but then like people like Daisy Edgar Jones and Glenn Powell are deciding to willingly be in this. So like there must be something about it, I guess. I don't know. Again, willing to be proven wrong.
Yep, 100%. Anyways, I had some thoughts. In fact, I wanted to, because I wrote down some thoughts about this as I was watching it. So apparently the movie itself is not going to connect directly to the original. And from what I read, from a bit of research that I did, Chung set out to take a realistic approach to the catastrophe-driven thriller. And obviously the whole Minari of it all, right? Now, by the way, however, Chung has directed some episodes of The Mandalorian, and he has directed some episodes of Star Wars Skeleton Crew. So maybe he's dipping his feet into
we haven't seen any of Skeleton
franchises.
Crew yet. What season of The Mandalorian did he direct on?
Oh, I don't know.
That's important. If it was the most recent one, then I fear the worst.
Let me look it up really quickly. The Convert, Chapter 19, and Chapter 21, The Pirate.
Yeah, those would be the most recent seasons.
Oh boy. The Convert, Mandalorian. Season 3, Episode 3. Oh, is that where you got lost, Joe?
I mean, I got lost season 2, but still.
Oh, that season 4 is still decent, though.
I still power through that show. Just because...
After the Mandalorian recovers from his sudden fall to the depths of the living waters, he and Bo-Katan Kryze depart from Mandalore, though Bo-Katan withholds the Mythosaur's existence from him. Upon returning to Kalevala, they are attacked by an Imperial TIE squadron, while she and Din were able to fend. Oh, the action was decent in that one, though.
Yeah.
Oh, no, the action was very good in that one.
Yeah, to be
fair, it was actually a good episode. No, Joe.
My problem with The Mandalorian is more like it's like through line than anything else.
Yeah. No, that was a decent episode, Joe. I think you liked it as well, that episode.
Yeah, it was fine. I remember I laughed a lot when he stepped into that water and he nearly drowned himself because of his heavy armor.
That was the previous one, though. That was episode 2.
Yeah, whichever one.
This one, 3, he's recovering from
funny.
that, and then they fly, and then there's that whole action
Yeah.
sequence with the TIE fighters. That was a decent episode. And the other one was The Pirates, 5th episode of the 3rd season. Invades Navarro in retaliation for Vane's expulsion. Grief Karga, context. Oh god, I don't remember any of these names. Yeah, I don't remember this episode at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
Very, very forgettable season, The Mandalorian season 3. Anyways,
Yep.
so overall, I mean, I'm intrigued. It's more the cast and the director who intrigued me with this.
Yeah.
The trailer didn't really do it for me, but we'll see. Let's move on to this is one for the theater kids.
Well, I just showed this to my girlfriend before we got on whilst we were eating dinner, and she's a big theatre kid, loves this play, did not like this.
Because we got the trailer for Wicked. I had no idea they were making a Wicked movie, by the way.
I think I heard
Not
like
a
years
clue.
ago, but I just completely forgot.
Yeah, anyways, something Wicked this way comes on Super Bowl Sunday. The first trailer for Wicked arrived with the trailer showing off part 1 of a two-part adaptation of the Broadway musical. Now, knowing how the whole Mission Impossible franchise went with the 2 parts and then
Did Wicked
turning
needs to be in 2 parts?
That's what the director said. That's what the directors and writers said. Apparently,
Okay.
they couldn't fit in all the Wicked stuff they had to mention in the movie. And apparently they had to split it up into 2. Ariana Grande stars as Glinda opposite Cynthia Erivo's Elphaba in the film, which hails from John M. Chu. Rest of the cast includes Michelle Yeoh, Jonathan Bailey, Ethan Slater, Jeff Goldblum, who looks like he's having a decent time in this, Marissa Bode, Keela Settle, Bronwyn James, Bowen Young, Adam James. Wicked is due out November 27, same day Disney recently dated for a sequel to Moana. Wicked is an adaptation of Tony-winning Broadway musical, which was inspired by Gregory Maguire's 1995 novel retelling The Wizard of Oz, which he published as Wicked, The Life and Times of the Wicked Witch of the West. Joe, what did your girlfriend, first of all, have to say about this? So,
it's ugly. There's too much CGI, and they look too old to be in high school, which is where Wicked is meant to be set. And I happen to agree with all of those.
Oh God. Yeah, what is it though? Like that ugly? Like there are some scenes that look interesting. No, the flower scene, for example. This is beautiful.
But like that's easy to make it look nice because you just put a bunch of colors and straight lines. Like I'm sorry, but that's what that is. The CGI up close looks ugly. It doesn't make sense that the actors look so old as well because they are meant to be in high school. So it doesn't make sense. It's Cynthia Erivo, this is not me being harsh, this is reality. She looks in her mid to late 20s. For some reason, Ariana Grande looks really old in this.
The makeup.
Someone who normally looks perpetually like 17 years old, like looks really young, looks strangely old in this.
The makeup, it's a makeup, Joe.
Yeah,
the makeup is off.
The only person who I liked the look of them in this film, and it's because I mean she's just iconic, is Michelle Yeoh.
I mean, and Jeff Goldblum. He looks decent as well in this. No?
Yeah.
He's the Wizard of Oz, right? In this, the makeup is really weird.
I know, but like they're meant to be high school kids. Why does one of them look 25 and the other one looks 40?
This CGI looks a little video gamey. Ugh. But to be fair,
all these kind of like big sweeping like retellings, especially of these like beloved properties, like you had, oh god, what was the one? Came out a couple of years ago. A Wrinkle in Time.
Okay.
That for me, they don't work in live action. Now, a lot of people are going to come back at me and they're going to be like, but The Wizard of Oz was live action. Yes, but The Wizard of Oz had the charm of being made so long ago that everything was practical. And like it had the incredible effect of when things go from black and white to color film. You know, it had things like that. This just looks like people standing in front of green screens.
Yeah.
Like there, this shot we are seeing of Michelle Yeoh, I guarantee you nothing behind her is real.
No, that's 100% green screen. That's 100% green screen. Michelle Yeoh looks great, Astra.
Like build a bit of a set and then like green screen the flying monkeys. Like, you
yeah,
know,
that's an issue.
it really makes things look a lot better.
This
like,
this is all green
of
screen, right?
this, all
This is all green screen.
And I understand that like, they're doing something which like probably needs a lot of special effects, but like just doesn't look very good to me.
Even this monstera looks. Oh, the CGI is all.
Yeah.
Anyways, I had some thoughts about this, which I wrote down. I'm not as negative as you are, Joe, but I'm not also super positive about it. First of all, obviously we have to talk about the whole Wicked of it all, right? With Wicked being one of the most successful Broadway shows of all time.
Well known as well.
I think it's number 2 behind The Lion King with regard to how much it has grossed. The CGI effects don't look great. Whenever you can tell when there are some practical sets there, and the practical sets look decent.
Yeah.
The practical sets, like this is a practical set, and this looks decent.
Yeah, already looks way better.
Looks so much better. CGI, no. CGI is off. Makeup looks off. This, for example, is apparently all practical. This is an actual field, which actual flowers.
Okay.
Apparently, and in my opinion, it looks really good. This part, that obviously is all green screen then, or however or CGI. But I agree with you. Did we need 2 parts to Wicked? Like, did we really need to split this up into? Is Wicked that big of a story? Like, I don't know how long.
It's not like you go and watch the play for Wicked and they go and come back next week for part 2. You know?
Yeah, it's a weird one. It's a weird one. It's a very, very weird one. I don't know what they're going for with that.
I could just be being overcritical and my grumpy self, but
this is not Dune. Phantom Menace School of Filmmaking. Shit. True. Anyways, when I found out there was a Wicked movie, I was like, oh, that everyone loves the Broadway. No, that's such a big show. But watching the trailer, I was like, not great. We'll see.
I'm kind of waiting for the theatre people to come out and be like, "We didn't need a Wicked movie. We have the play."
I haven't seen any reactions, so I have no idea what the reactions are. Maybe they love it. Who knows?
Maybe they do. They're an unpredictable bunch, theatre dorks. So
true.
Shout
I mean,
out to
after cats.
Yeah, look how that went.
What were the first reactions, Joe, to Cats? You remember, like before the movie actually came out?
My first reaction.
No, like the general reaction. I know, I can imagine what your reaction was.
They were all like, what the fuck is going on? Why are we doing this?
Something we know exactly why they're doing is Deadpool 3, because, oh my God, the hype behind this movie is insane. Like, the hype behind Deadpool 3 is incredible. Like,
I actually have a big question to ask you regarding this trailer.
Okay,
because of a vibe I got from it.
Okay, all right, interesting. Let's get into it. So, Marvel's best frenemies are back on screen together. Hugh Jackman is back as Wolverine in the first Deadpool 3 trailer, which arrived on Super Bowl Sunday. Not only that, but the trailer confirms the film's official title is Deadpool and Wolverine, as well as how the R-rated merc with a mouth is infiltrating the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Footage sees members of the Time Variance Authority, the multiversal organization first introduced obviously in Disney Plus series Loki, track down and find Reynolds' Wade Wilson. It was great to see Matthew McFadden in this. Wade, you are special. This is your chance to be a hero among heroes. And Wade responds, I smell what you're stepping in, Sensei. Your little cinematic universe is about to change forever. I'm the Messiah. I am Marvel Jesus. This marks the 9th time Jackman has appeared as the character from Marvel Comics, and the first since he apparently retired from the role with 2017's Logan. It's also the first time Jackman's Wolverine shares the screen with Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool, Wade Wilson since 2009's X-Men Origins Wolverine, a film the pair routinely poke fun at. Sean Levi, a mutual buddy of the two actors who directed Reynolds in Free Guy and The Adam Project, and Jackman in Real Steel, directs Deadpool 3, which is coming to theaters later this year on July 26th. Now, before we get into it, Joe, just have to say,
really not like it. I didn't know that Sean Levi was directing it.
Yeah, you didn't know. No. That's why I mentioned Sean Levi.
I thought it was going to be Stahelski or Leach again.
No. It's Levi. It's Levi. But before we get into it, Joe, I have to mention that growing up as a kid, I was also always quite a fan of Marvel, of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and all that, right? I loved the Incredible Hulk. I loved all that, even though it wasn't great. But I was a kid, so. But I could never get into the X-Men.
Really?
I could never get into the X-Men.
Oh, I love the X-Men.
But to try and fix that, today, I visited Birzabuja, where there is a small little DVD rental shop, and I bought like 4 of the X-Men movies, and I'm going to try and watch them all during the holidays before this movie comes
X-Men
out.
animated films.
No, the movies, the movies.
Ah, okay. So yeah. That's not
No, I know they're bad. No, I know they're bad. Most of them are bad.
No, X-Men 2 rules.
X-Men 2 is good.
X-Men 2 is really good.
And I've watched
X-Men-
some of them.
X-Men
I've
1
watched a few of them.
X-Men 1 is okay. It's a decent introduction. X-Men 3 sucks. Like, it's really bad.
I've watched the bad ones. So I watched the Deadpool one. That I watched. That I know I watched.
That's the first Wolverine one. X-Men
Yes.
Wolverine. That's really bad.
I watched it and I got the Blu-ray for it as well, so I can watch it again and hate my life.
Christ.
I watched quite a few. Well, I actually watched quite a few of them. Obviously, I watched Logan then, but that's obviously separate, right? It's kind of like its own story.
Well, it isn't. Logan is a continuation of the X-Men films.
Yes, it is, but the tone is completely different. Right?
Oh yes, no, they completely change
The
everything.
style. X-Men First Class and Days of... I think I've watched those as well. First Class I've watched.
First Class is good, and even Days of Future Past is pretty good.
I've watched a few of them, but it wasn't like with the MCU where I like religiously go and watch every movie.
Yeah.
This with X-Men, I'll watch them maybe on Italian television, for example, or but I'd never like be like I have to watch it.
I was a huge fan of the animated series of X-Men.
Okay.
I
All right.
loved the X-Men. And then as well, they had one where, what was it called? They had like a new generation one where they had like younger ones coming in, like the older ones, like mentoring them. Teen Titans I loved as well, which is kind of like adjacent to X-Men. Like I really, really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed Deadpool as a young teenager as well, who I discovered the Merc with a Mouth at that time. And I don't think I like where this is going, to be completely honest.
All right, Joe. So what do you think?
So the one question I wanted to throw to you,
Yes.
with all of this, because I watched this trailer and there were parts of it which I liked, but there was one big looming thing on me. Who the fuck are the TVA? And now do I need to watch Loki season 2 in order to enjoy Deadpool?
But you watched season 1, no, of Loki?
No.
Joe? Oh, okay. Damn.
So do I need to watch Loki to enjoy Deadpool?
Listen, Joe, Loki season 1 was good. Loki season 2 was great.
That's not the question I'm asking. Do I need to watch Loki to enjoy Deadpool now?
I mean, to know who the TVA are, yes. They're the Time Variance Authority. They basically try to fix the different multiversal threads. I don't know how linked this is with season 2. I would imagine it is quite linked with Loki season 2. Because the final events of Loki season 2 are very relevant to the whole multiversal story. And this seems to be poking fun at the multiversal stories, but at the same time, it is in itself a multiverse story. I mean, that's how he's going to meet Wolverine, right?
I guess, yeah.
Now, it's not going to be a waste of your time, because Loki season 2 is great.
But here's the thing. I liked Deadpool because he would make these references to other properties and stuff like that, but I could just enjoy Deadpool. I don't want to now have to go and watch 12 hours worth of television, which I'm not already invested in order to actually understand plot points of this movie, which they're clearly using to try and fix the MCU, which they have now.
Yes, they are. They are there.
It's even the fact of this is the one which is really getting me, and this is going to be an unpopular opinion for sure. I'm now steering into full Joe hater mode. Why did we have to bring back Hugh Jackman as Wolverine? And that isn't to say we shouldn't have a Wolverine and Deadpool movie. If you're doing a multiversal story, you could have created all this hype, and I'm sure you could have gotten Hugh Jackman on board as well, of Wolverine was going to be in this movie, and everyone could have thought that Hugh Jackman was going to be in this movie as Wolverine, and you show him like you did in this trailer here, which is very clever. But then, when it gets to the actual movie, you pull a fucking switcheroo on someone, and because it's a different universe, give me a different Wolverine.
I think the reason is obvious, right, Joe? I mean, obviously, it's
because
very popular.
Yes, it's because we need the Hugh Jackman one. We need to have that fucking weaponized intertextuality.
And to be fair,
we need to remember those X-Men. and we can't have any new, more original shit, and we need all the old actors to come back and do stuff, and we are using a beloved character in a multiversal story to try and fix a complete clusterfuck of stuff that's going on with the MCU right now, which could be, it could be like, Deadpool has done stuff like this in the comics before, where he's had to like fix stuff for the X-Men and for the Avengers and stuff like that. You've had comic lines where he's killed all of those people in some different comic lines, you know?
Yeah.
So that's not the part that I'm complaining about. Fine, multiversal story, they're very popular, they're very in right now, where we had Everything Everywhere All at Once, we had the Avengers movies, you have Loki, which is multiversal as well, the Quang nonsense, whatever that movie was. But it's just, it's this reliance on this universe, which I understand why they don't want to let it go. I understand why they don't
They
want
can't
to let
let it
go.
go.
But I'm not telling them to let it go. Just take it somewhere different. What you could have.
They're trying to take it somewhere different.
I don't think they are. With all the, like, you see like on that screen, like all the stuff of like Thor and there's Captain America on the screens, and there's even loads of rumors now. Loads of rumors. And they've even said openly, Kevin Feige has said, going forward, they're going to focus on their more beloved characters in their franchises. They are going to find a way. I'll bet you money right now. They're going to find a way to bring back Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. as Cap and as Tony Stark in some way, shape, or form. Because they've realized they cannot go beyond this. Because they spent all that time building up that one really good story over 10 years. They've tried to do the DC move and fast track another one with the whole Quang nonsense. And it's just, you can't do it that way. Now, you had with Deadpool, one of the best things you had about him is you can throw him into this multiversal story because of all the fourth wall breaking and references that he does. And you can make it work. And people will buy in because they know that Deadpool's capable of that. But this could have been an incredible opportunity to start something new, which is that's why I said an incredible idea would be of you hint at Wolverine coming back, you hint at Hugh Jackman coming back. But then it turns out when he gets to this universe, it's a different Wolverine. You know, like we need to like learn. I'm not going to say like, as a society, but as like fans of stuff, to put stuff to bed. And Logan was an incredible end for that character. And why can't we just leave it at that? You know? Am I supposed to believe now that this Deadpool has gone back in time? And because I also just don't buy now that the Logan that died in that movie, I don't buy that he had a time in his life where he was fucking around with Deadpool doing stuff. That character did not experience those things.
That's going to be a major obstacle this movie has to somehow explain, right?
But that's why, like, do all the Wolverine hinting, have a Wolverine and Deadpool movie. But if you're going to go multiversal, why the hell are we going back to the universes? We've already spent so much time in.
The suggestions are Aaron Taylor-Johnson as Wolverine instead of Craven, or Daniel Radcliffe. I mean, Daniel Radcliffe, I know he's always been
Daniel Radcliffe, they're saying, because you see like someone who looks like Wolverine from the back sitting at the table. That's going to be Patch, who is basically an alternate version of Wolverine. Yeah. A lot of people are theorizing that it's Daniel Radcliffe as Patch, which will be very, very funny if it happens.
Yes.
But yes. Aaron Taylor-Johnson, perfectly capable of being Wolverine. Tom Hardy was at one point was a fan casting for Wolverine. Very, very good choice for Wolverine.
Yeah, the Tom Hardy. I'd love Tom Hardy, yes.
You know, but
to be fair, we have to go back to the fact that Hugh Jackman is a great actor.
He is, yes.
But he's a great Wolverine.
I would have rather they went and they did it with Weapon X, like the young girl in Logan, and she's older.
That's
that's different. We haven't seen that before.
She's such a great actress. Yeah. I really enjoyed watching her in that series. Oh my god.
The one based on the Golden Compass.
Yes.
His Dark Materials.
The Golden Compass. His Dark Materials. She was so good in that. She's such a great actress.
But yeah, there's my Deadpool rant. Very, very, very disappointed to hear that it is Sean Levi directing this, or Levy, whatever you call him.
Yes. To talk about positives.
Again, I can be proven wrong. I can. I'm capable of being wrong. But I have not seen anything so far by Sean Levy that I have liked.
All right. This action scene looks great.
Yes.
This looks fantastic.
The action looks cool. And Ryan Gosling is doing his thing of being Deadpool, which is like the role he was arguably born to play. I'll accept that.
All this action looks fantastic.
Yeah.
And this is a character from X-Men, right?
Yes, that's Pyro. Someone who I never thought I'd ever see again.
I mean, listen, Deadpool 1 was fantastic. I laughed so
Deadpool
much.
1. I actually
with Deadpool
rewatched
1.
both of the Deadpools at Christmas time.
All right. How did Deadpool 2 hold up?
It's okay.
It's okay.
Like
There are some funny moments.
It's best when it's going balls to the wall action.
Yeah, when they drop off the plane, right?
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Seeing Brad Pitt, that was such a great moment.
It's best when it's doing that stuff. I
Yeah.
don't think like any of like the family narrative or stuff like that works.
But the first one had a good drama behind it as well.
Yeah, because it was simple.
Yeah, girlfriend, right?
Yeah.
Girlfriend stuff.
I left her because I was sick.
Yeah.
I got better, but now I look disgusting.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty simple stuff.
That's really good stuff.
Yeah.
Jared Leto. No. No.
They'll come out and be like, it's Wolverine time.
And then obviously here we have the Wolverine of it all, right?
Yes, but how good would this be if we see this shot and then it turns out to be someone different?
I think people would be pissed off.
I don't
The
think so.
majority would be pissed off, I think.
But that's what Deadpool's supposed to do. He's supposed to subvert expectations and piss people off.
True. That's very true. Anyways, this is going to make $1 billion. Let's be honest. This is going to make $1 billion. The hype behind just the whole social media interaction between Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, it's a marketing goldmine. That's when I say like, I can't really blame them for doing this. I wish they would be more creative, but again, it could come out and it could be the best movie ever made. I say that about everything. So
Yeah.
I doubt it. But it could be.
We had a comment, but here we go. Have you guys talked about the theory that the person playing Patch isn't Hugh, but might be Daniel Radcliffe as the MCU Wolverine? Yeah, we just mentioned it. Joel mentioned it.
That's what people think.
Yeah, that seems to be...
Daniel Radcliffe as Wolverine that will win a lot of points for me. That sounds hilarious.
I feel like I've been seeing Daniel Radcliffe as Wolverine on Reddit for years now. Like years.
Yeah. I had seen a really good someone did like...
That's right, this one, right? Yeah, and this one. Yeah,
someone had done AI art of Tom Hardy Wolverine. That's why I brought him up, and he looked very good.
I mean, Tom Hardy can definitely pull off Wolverine. 100%. The Daniel Radcliffe one obviously would be a nice little wink to the fans, right?
Yeah.
Nice little wink to the fans who love this. But with that down, I think, Joe, we can move on to our reviews.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to mention this really quickly before we get into the reviews. Joe, have you been seeing the disaster going on at Xbox right now? We talked about it a while ago, but like Xbox right now is going through some
I'm slightly out of the loop. I know that they're talking about like a lot of their games which are exclusive. They're like, we're going to put them on PlayStation now. Which is like a weird move.
Yeah. Apparently, no. Just before the podcast started, when I was on the toilet, I put up Twitter, and this news came out that they're going to be doing a podcast on the 15th. So next week we'll talk about it. And apparently they're going to clear up all the rumors, because that apparently was just a rumor. All the video games like the Indiana Jones one going to PlayStation and whatnot, right? By the way, the Fall of the 11th saying also you see a Leviathan corpse from Avengers 2012. And a helicarrier too behind the weird Doctor Doom looking guy on the truck. So yeah, lots of references to the MCU, lots of references obviously to the X-Men. Yeah, I mean, Joe, that's not gonna get you hyped, right? Though. No. But going back on topic, there's this whole issue where everyone's questioning why should I buy an Xbox now? Because if all the games are going on to PlayStation, like the only reason why Xbox will make money right now is because of the Xbox Game Pass, which I have. I have it on PC and I love it. I've got to be honest, I love it.
Yeah. How much is Game Pass per month?
Oh, good question.
I'm doing some math.
€6, I believe. €6 per month.
Okay.
But I've played quite a few games on it.
Yeah,
so
let me do some quick maths here, which may not work out the way I wanted to.
6 times 12, right?
12, yeah. 72. Okay, so
€72 every year.
Here's my thing. If 1 million people subscribe to Xbox Game Pass, they're paying €72 a year, so 72 million. From those guys, right? To play hundreds of games.
Yep. hundreds of years. And new
Game
games,
Pass.
because when Starfield came out,
Not all new
although
games. Yes, they had big ones like Starfield, yes.
like Halo, the Halo Infinite.
Yeah, this is a bizarre decision to put that on Game Pass. Anyway,
yes.
But
the campaign, the multiplayer. Sorry, the campaign wasn't on.
Then, if you go to some, and this is not to be like Sony fanboy or anything, I do play PlayStation over Xbox. I also play PC games as well. But just what the different model that PlayStation have compared to Xbox. PlayStation have their own sort of like subscription service. They have the tiers of PlayStation Plus, where you get pay for the basic tier and you get the 3 monthly games only. Pay for the extra tier where you get the 3 monthly games plus a catalog of other games. Pay for the ultimate tier where you get the monthly games and a bigger catalog of games plus really old games to play as well from like the PS1 and PS2 era. But what PlayStation like to do is with their big releases, they like to hype them up to all oblivion. And they're going to sell for $70, €70 a pop, right?
Yeah.
And let's say something like God of War or The Last of Us is going to sell up to 1 million copies in its first 2 weeks of release. So those games are going to make more money than an entire Game Pass subscription makes for Xbox in 2 weeks.
Yes.
And they can continue selling that game
Yep.
for years to come.
Yep.
This is where I think where the Game Pass thing has been a bit short-sighted on Xbox's part, because for gamers it's great. It's a fantastic thing.
For me, it's great.
Yeah,
I mean,
you can pay
I play
€6 a month and you can play all these games. That's
I think
fantastic.
20, 21, 22 games minimum. And there are, but to be fair, there are games I wouldn't have purchased.
Absolutely.
Like Starfield, I wouldn't have purchased.
Yeah,
I played it because
that's the
it was
best
available.
part about it, because you can try these games you're not too sure about, and you don't have to pay the full price of them. For the consumer, it is fantastic. This is exactly what happened with streaming services when they first became a thing. But then look what happened to that.
Yeah.
You know, people started to drop off. We needed to start charging more. Then you can't share your accounts with anyone. Now you need to pay for this tier, otherwise you get ads on it. You then need to pay for this tier if you want to get 4K resolution. You know, because these kinds of subscription models for companies, their longevity just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And if your production costs are as high as they are, you cannot and you will not survive. Which is why people like Netflix have started to release stuff into theaters, why they need them to do well at awards to rake in those bonuses and that money. Now, Microsoft also, another bizarre thing, most of the games on Game Pass, they are not being paid by another developer or a company, to put these games onto Game Pass. They already own these companies and developers, and they're choosing to put these games straight to Game Pass. You know, so it's not like they're coming in, I don't know, like for example, if PlayStation came in, they're like, yo, we want to release The Last of Us on Xbox, and we want it to go to Game Pass. And Xbox go, sure, we get the rights to the game, and we'll put it out there. You need to pay us 50 million right now to put the game on our service, but you'll get a 5% kickback every time someone like downloads the game, for example. That's a completely unrealistic estimation of like how business would work or anything. I'm just throwing out bullshit numbers here. But Xbox don't have that, because if you look at Starfield, they own Bethesda. And they put their own. It was bizarre to me that they put a game that hyped from that company straight onto a game streaming platform which only costs $6 a month. Like, say what you want, like about Sony, and they're not a perfect company by a country mile. But that is literally like if like God of War, if they went like, okay, God of War, you haven't seen it since the PS3 days, and we've got a new one here, and we've changed everything up, and you know what? We're not going to charge you full price for this game that we've been working on really hard for all this time. You can just get it on this streaming platform, which you pay for anyway. Which, again, for winning over consumers and fans is huge. Probably there were so many people that went, Xbox or Microsoft rather are the light of my life because they've done this and they've given me this gift of this streaming service. But for the company, it just does not make any sense.
Nope. The director at Larian Studios who made Baldur's Gate 3, they asked him, like, is it going to be available on Xbox Game Pass? And he was like, listen, Xbox Game Pass is great, But I think the developers here have worked
Mhm.
for years and years and years for this
Yeah.
product, and I think we deserve
Yeah.
to earn. We have earned your $60,
Yeah,
euros, whatever,
absolutely.
because they've been working on that for years. So
Yeah.
they're like, no, it's never going to be available on Xbox Game Pass.
Yeah, that's a game as well. That's to the casual could die a very slow, like quick death on Game Pass. Because a lot of people who are like, and I'm talking about like the kind of gamer that like only plays FIFA and Call of Duty. You know, like an extremely casual gamer, right?
Yep.
Which is, I'm not judging those people. It's fine. They are part of the demographic. If they like those games, they like those games.
Listen, I love Call of Duty, so
Yeah, exactly. Everyone has their guilty pleasure as well.
Yep.
But if someone like that, an extreme casual, has Game Pass and they go, everyone's talking about this Baldur's Gate thing. Let me try it. They could pick that game up. And it definitely has happened that they've picked that game up and they've gone, this is really good and different and I really like it and I'll continue to play it. Thank you, Game Pass. But I'll bet money on the fact that that kind of casual gamer picks up a game as dense as Baldur's Gate and goes, this is kind of boring. This isn't for me.
Yeah.
But they got to try it because of Game Pass. It's a massive catch-22, this whole situation. Yeah, huge catch-22.
Baldur's Gate, what an experience, man, that game was. What an experience. But
like again,
Joe,
I like Sony's model, what they've done, where there are 3-tiered systems. You know what you're getting. You do get some day one releases, but they're extremely few and far between. And with that, like I pay for the second tier. I get PlayStation Plus extra, not premium. So it's the middle tier where I pay like €30 once every 3 months, so essentially €10 a month.
Yep.
And I get 3 monthly games like every month completely free, which I can add to my library to keep forever. But then I have access to their game collection to play whenever I want, which is something like 200 games. They're adding new ones. They add new ones to it every month as well. And that has led me to play a myriad of games. I played Control because of that. Actually, no, I played Control because I got it on PlayStation Plus for free.
All right.
But I played stuff like Vampire, which a game I never would have bought before, but I got it from that service. And that's a good model where you get some day one releases, but mostly it's just older games I never would have bought before, and they go onto that service. So that makes a bit more sense. And then their big tentpole releases still make them millions of dollars.
Yeah, you were at the toilet. Xbox must be really shit then.
That sounds like Franco making that joke.
Yeah, exactly. But Joe, shall we get into the movies?
Yes.
We've got a few reviews. We've got a review for. I've got a review for I.S.S. Did you watch it, Joe? I.S.S. There's American Fiction, which I'd like to review as well.
I only watched half of that, so I've got a little bit to contribute to.
Okay. Robot Dreams, which, to be honest, I don't have a lot of things to say. I'll just give a quick comment about Robot Dreams. Loved it, to be honest. The End We Start From, and The Zone of Interest. Obviously, only you got to watch that.
And I have the Iron Claw.
Oh, the Iron Claw as well. Oh, shit. All right. Where do you want to fit those, Joe?
The one I have the most to say about is definitely the Iron Claw.
Okay. Let's mix them up, Mela. Let's go one me, one you. I have
the least to say about the Zone of Interest.
Okay. Do you want to start off with that, Mela? Zone of Interest?
Sure.
Mela, 1 second. Let me bring it up on IMDb. Mela, the Zone of Interest. I'm surprised you're saying you don't have a lot to say about the Zone of Interest.
Yeah, I think the less said, the better. On this one.
We'll try and get through these a bit quickly, though, Joe, because
time
is of the essence.
Sure.
So, your thoughts about the Zone of Interest?
Okay, so initial thoughts. One, really, really happy to see Jonathan Glazer finally making another fucking feature-length film. Like, since his last one was Under the Skin, I believe, I want to say 2013 or 2014.
Jesus.
Great to see Sandra Hüller again as well, nominated in this. And as you can see, it's about the Auschwitz Commandant Rufald Hoss and his wife Hedwig strive to build a dream life for their family in a house and garden beside the camp of Auschwitz. It's feel bad central, but it's also like, this is a really weird one. And I actually had one issue with my screening is the volume was really low.
Oh, shit. Everyone's talking about the sound effects, how good they are.
For some reason. Yes, which in fact I thought, like, at first, I'm like, is this intentional? And it was like that for the whole film. But then I asked a friend of mine, David, friend of the show, if it was like that in his screen, which he had seen. He's like, no, it was loud. When I saw it, I was like, okay, they fucked up for us. But I don't think it took away too much. in this case. The really weird thing about this film is that I saw this in a multiplex in a View cinema.
Okay.
This is like a staunchly like art house festival film.
Yeah.
And of course it is, because it's a Jonathan Glazer film. Like, there are things in it which a lot of people, a lot of casual viewers would be like, fuck this guy's pretentious kind of thing. But if you have seen Jonathan Glazer's films before, you're like, no, this is straight out of his wheelhouse.
Yeah,
This is what he does.
Yeah.
But to say about it, I mean, like, there's nothing really to spoil here. But it's a weird one because everything in it, from the performances to the framing devices, and there are like certain little details here which I won't spoil because I'd rather people see them and then we have those conversations at a later date. But there was a very small detail I liked with the dog in the family. Again, Sandra Hüller and dogs seems to be a thing this year, from Anatomy of a Fall to this. Very strange. But
Dog should have gotten a nomination.
that dog should win. Not just gotten a nomination.
Ah, man, that was incredible. Like, watching it, I was like, what the fuck? That's not a CGI dog. How did they do that?
What I will say about the Zone of Interest is, especially with it being from A24 as well, and with it being nominated for so many awards as well, I think a lot of people are going to go into this film and expect sort of like a pseudo like different take on like Schindler's List or something like
no,
that.
Tom.
And,
not myself, to be fair.
And people absolutely should not expect something like that. This is, despite only being an hour and 45 minutes, it is fairly slow, but like not to the point where like this movie is too long. But it's languid is the word I want to use. It moves at this constant pace. There's no like peaks and troughs. It's like this the whole way through. It's like a boat down a river, the way it kind of moves.
The opposite of Oppenheimer, basically.
Exactly. But it's a weird one. Like, everything in it is really, really good, but it's a tough one for me to recommend to what I would call like regular people. If you are an enthusiast of the art form, being cinema and stuff like that, you'll take a lot from it, like I did. But also, given its subject matter, it never ever goes into like these like big like gut punch moments. It's almost just this like really, really deft juxtaposition of the normal with the tragic. And that's what makes the film. It is like inexplicably a Jonathan Glazer film. It is like so him, which I like his films, so I really like that. It's not going to be for everyone, and probably a few people that watch it are going to call it overrated. They're going to call it slow. Franco's definitely going to say that they could have cut 40 minutes out of this film. And Bruce probably as well is going to be like, that was a snooze fest.
Oh no.
But no, I still like haven't even given this like a rating on my letterbox as well. It's a weird one.
Okay, so no rating, Joe, for now.
No, for now, no rating.
Okay, fair enough. So that is Joe's thoughts on the Zone of Interest. I'm very, very interested in watching this one. I've been interested since day one that I heard about this project. When I heard about like how good the sound effects were and how, like you said, Joe, the juxtaposition between the calm life and what's going on.
It's very good. For me, it merits its nominations because it's a very prescient film as well in the times we're going through. But it's one. It requires analysis and thought to get the most out of it.
Fair enough. Which makes me hyped even more. Would you say it's a reflection of present times, this idea of mundane with the banality of evil, Joe?
Yes.
Yeah. Sounds like it. Let's be honest. Very much sounds like that. Okay, moving on to the next review. I'm going to summarize this in like just a few words because I watched Robot Dreams this week, nominated for Best Animated Picture. And to be honest, I completely get why it was nominated. I am so happy something like Wish or Elemental was not nominated instead of this, because Robot Dreams is a fantastic movie. Now, as you can tell just from seeing like this image on screen, the animation style is very, very simple. It's a very simple animation style, but the amount of emotions this movie got out of me and my girlfriend is incredible. Like from The opening 10 minutes, we were like, no, oh my God. And then, like, we were emoting so much during this movie. Like, it's such a powerful movie. And to be fair, it does do the trick that certain animation movies do. They give you a cute character like this dog. They give you this cute robot. You build a relationship between the two, and that's going to bring out emotions from everyone, right? I mean, anyone who was a human being. I mean, I was close to tears at times, because the way it builds up this relationship and then the way it develops and the way I don't want to spoil anything that happens, but the way that whole relationship develops is incredible. It's really beautifully done and really touching, and it's going to affect people in very different ways. Okay, I'm off, guys. Thanks for the company. Thanks, Franco. Have a good evening. Hope work isn't treating you too badly. And see you on the next episode, hopefully. And I still need to give you a present, by the way. I've been meaning to give him his present for a really long time. But yeah, the way the relationship just develops between these two is so powerful, so powerful. So the storyline itself is very simple. It's very simple. I don't want to mention anything. Just it's the adventures and misfortunes of dog and robot in New York City during the 1980s. Very good soundtrack, very good 80s. But again, 80s is cheating, right, when it comes to the soundtrack. But very, very, very good soundtracks, which are going to have you bobbing your head constantly. No dialogue. So the whole movie has zero dialogue in it, all emoted, basically. And the simple emotions shown by the animation are great. Really good stuff. Again, not everyone's going to love this. Some people are going to call this, I wouldn't call it pretentious, but I think a lot of people will look at this and be like, oh, they're doing the no dialogue just to be different. Yeah, and I can see people being snobbish and saying, oh, this, Elemental should have taken this place. The animation in Elemental is much better. And I think they're missing the point with this movie, because the storyline is very simple, but it's all about the emotions, and it's all about how you as a person empathize with the characters and how you react to different situations that these characters end up in. Because we've all been in a situation where we stop being friends with someone because something happens, whatever happens, and then you keep on thinking about them. And we've all been in that experience, right, where we lose a friend due to many different reasons. So people are going to react to this movie in different ways just because of their own personal experiences. And I think the movie does such a great job in creating those emotions and making characters which you can empathize with, and situations which are you're going to be like, yes, they're fantastical, but you can see what they're going for, right? The themes are very, very, very easy to grasp, but very powerful themes. If I had to give this a rating, I'd probably give this, I think, what rating do I give it? Between a 3.5 and a 4. 3.75. No, that's cheating. I think I'll go for a 3.5. It's a solid movie. I go for a 3.5. I liked it, and I loved moments, but at other moments then it was just a tad too slow. The pacing was just a tad too slow, where I got a bit distracted at times during the movie. But overall emotions, very, very powerful. Very, very powerful. So those are my thoughts on Robot Dreams. Possibly my rating can go to a 4 when I think about it more later on. But those are my thoughts on Robot Dreams. Joe, do you want to go into the end we start from? Because I know you watched that as well.
Yeah, sure.
So let's get into the end we start from.
Yeah, I can't remember the director's name, so you'll need to bring it up for me.
Yep.
Yeah, this was one I had actually wanted to catch at Glasgow Film Festival last year, but I didn't manage. Okay, by Mahalia Bello. So the end we start from. So it's about a woman tries to find her way home with her newborn while environmental crisis submerges London in floodwaters. Starring Jodie Comer and Joel Fry, both of whom I'm a very big fan of. Especially Jodie Comer. I've wanted her to after seeing her and stuff like Killing Eve, I've wanted her to go on and do bigger and better things, and she's slowly making her way into that world. Now, this was actually like a bit of a bizarre one, this film. Like, I find a lot of films like this, I call them like quintessentially like British indie. They just have they just have this vibe to them and
yes.
this
The
look,
vibe. It's all
which
about the
all
vibe.
these British-made indie films have, which is not a bad thing. But okay, so you have the story about this woman, newborn baby, and this environmental disaster is it just doesn't stop raining in the UK. Which I mean, it doesn't. It's raining right now outside. I live in Scotland, but it's to the point where like London is like basically you can see in the picture there, London is essentially underwater, and that would have you believe that this is some sort of like post-apocalyptic-ish environmental disaster movie, which it isn't really. It's more
Very understated. Very
yeah,
understated.
it's very understated. Like you're not going to see like big scenes of people running away from flood water in this. This is much more about the people in it experiencing these things. It's a much quieter drama, mainly about mostly with Jodie Comer interacting with a baby, and eventually Catherine Waterston's character comes into this. Actually, really funny. They managed to get Benedict Cumberbatch in this movie for like 3 minutes at one point.
But Benedict
spoiler.
Cumberbatch is one of the producers on this, I believe, or
Is he?
his company. Why he has a company which is
Could be, 'cause
producing this.
He's in it for a very short period.
Yeah. Because I was like, "What's Benedict Cumberbatch doing
Yeah.
in it?" And I looked it up, and apparently he's like, I'm not sure, but I think he's obviously he's got very strong connections with the British
Yes.
BFI, with the
Yeah.
BFI. Obviously, he's got very strong
Do you
links
know-
there, and
do
his
you know what
production
really,
team.
Do you know what really annoyed me when I saw him in this film? And it like got to me. I hated myself for a solid like hour after I said it. He turned up, and for a second I forgot his name, and I said, "Oh, it's the guy that plays Doctor Strange."
Oh, Joe, Joe,
That look what Marvel has done to me.
Jesus, Joe, and Benedict
Look what-
Cumberbatch. We're talking
I know,
about here.
I know, but look what they've done because they made him play Doctor Strange for 10 years. That's all I can associate him with. But anyway, I digress. As I said, so it's really not about the disaster in this.
No,
It's about the people and how they're going through it. But that being said, it's really weird. Like, it's only an hour and 42 minutes long, but it does feel quite a bit
Yes,
longer than
it
that at
feels long.
points. It is quite slow moving. And I don't think it really reaches any of the emotional heights or notes that it really wanted to.
There
At
are
least-
moments. I thought there are moments which hit me.
very early on with some like shocking things that happen early on. I think there are moments, but I think as it goes on, like it's also just like one of the problems with this is I could be wrong and I could have like not been paying attention enough, but like we don't know how long this disaster has been going on, and then there are people forming these like communes and stuff.
I think
like
it's
that.
the baby is what shows you that how time has passed. Like seeing
Yeah,
the
but
baby grow.
But that's why, like, it's been a couple of months then. But
No, the baby grows quite older by the end.
no,
Baby
like
sees-
he's still totally dependent on his mother. Like the baby's
Yes.
no, like I wouldn't even say a year old at this point.
No, that's right.
No,
The baby was
definite.
about it.
Like, and if it does that, then it has failed in showing me like the passage of time through this film.
To be fair, I did feel true. I agree on this point that it's like okay, the communes have grown, but yeah, I agree. Like it feels like many years have passed, but at the same
Yeah.
time, yeah.
I also just feel like, again, its ending really did nothing for me. Like to not spoil anything.
Yeah.
The film was actually best when you had the trio. I think when you had the husband and Joel Fry, and you had Jodie Comer, and you had the baby, and they were trying to move from place to place and like struggle for food and stuff like that. Because then, like, you really felt for them. Now there is a point in this film where she is separated from the husband. Very minor spoiler, but it happens earlier enough on for me to not consider that a spoiler. And that's where things really slowed down.
Mm-hmm.
For me, at least. Now, this isn't to say that this is a bad film at all. It's for me, it's just like I remember like it's like credits like rolled and stuff like that, and I was like, oh, that was alright, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could tell, like I think it wanted to have like really big ideas and it wanted to have something to say, but it just didn't really fully know how to realize that.
Okay. All right. Anything else you want to add about it, Joe? I have some points.
I don't have too much to say. It's a decent little British indie film.
Yes, I agree on that. So, like we said, again, it's very understated, very, very, very understated. One of the things I liked about it, obviously, was the whole perspective of it all, because usually you've got like when it's one of these disaster movies, you've got like your big action hero,
Yeah.
right? And it's all from the perspective of that big action hero. Here, it's from the perspective of someone who basically, we've got a new mother who is almost defenseless in every situation she ends up in. Although there are some moments where she shows she does some decent, like, when she steals the car, not a big spoiler,
Yeah.
for example. That's a good moment, right?
Yeah, it definitely has its moments. The problem is I wanted more of them.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I also liked how, although ignoring the whole passage of time aspect of it, it does feel quite real and relevant, right? Because this is how I imagine a real disaster would be. Like a real ecological disaster would be lots of rain and then massive flooding taking place in a big city like London. And everyone's on TV like, oh my God, what's going on in London? And then, I mean, obviously, environmental refugees are a constant reality right now. So I like the fact that they went for a very realistic approach also because of the budget itself, because you have to make it realistic to keep the budget low. So it did feel real. Did you get, Joe, because you mentioned like the whole English, did you get a bit of Children of Men from this?
I think it wanted a lot of Children of Men. Like, especially like you mentioned, like the car scene, especially like that one. That's where I was getting like those kind of like rumblings.
Yes.
Of that, but there definitely wasn't enough of it. There's actually another particular scene where like the kind of like facility they're at gets robbed, where you get a little bit of Children of Men from. Yes. I think that's my main problem with it. I didn't feel many stakes in this film.
I like the tone. I like the like melancholic tone, and it's kind of reminded me of COVID, where we're like everyone's thinking, oh, the good old days. Oh, remember when we could go and party. Remember when we could go to the cinema? And it's the same thing here, right? Most of the characters are like, oh, remember what we could do back then. Going, and she keeps on thinking about the party and seeing her. Is it her husband or her partner?
I don't know if they're necessarily married, but I don't think it really matters.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. So there's a certain sadness behind every character, right? And I think they portray that really well. I thought the cinematography was decent enough. I think the way they portrayed like rural UK was
for sure.
Quite well done, really well done. Jodie Comer herself was very good.
Yeah,
I think the
fantastic.
camera follows her excellently, and the camera should always be stuck to Jodie Comer because she's beautiful and because she's a great actress. Although I don't know what you think about this, because you said the second half of the movie you didn't really like. And to be fair, I liked the first half much more than the second half. But I really liked Katrin Waterston as well.
She was good.
Gives a very good performance as well.
That's what I mean. Like the movie is perfectly competent, like in every way. It's got good performances. It's shot really well. It's staged really well. It's even directed very well.
Yep.
For me, the main problem in this is in its script. There's no meat to it,
Which is, Joe, a bit of a surprise, because the person who adapted this, Alice Birch, was a screenwriter for Lady Macbeth, which I loved.
Okay. I love
and
Lady Macbeth.
She's written for television shows such as Succession, Normal People, and Dead Ringers.
Jesus Christ.
So this is a really talented writer. Like, she's done banger after banger. Now, I think the big issue is, realistically, she's adapting a book which is understated in itself, the book itself, and which involves a lot of melancholic thoughts and reflections about the past. And that is not easy to adapt to the screen, right? The Dune of it all. And it's not easy to adapt something like that.
No, exactly.
And I think she probably adapted the book because from what I've seen, people who read the book have said, it's a decent adaptation, missing some stuff, but I think it's a very reflective book.
Yeah.
Which again reflects heavily on certain themes of ecological disasters.
Sometimes
climate
books
change
just don't work that well on screen.
And I think that's the whole issue of it all. To be fair, I think I liked it more than you, because I know. What's your rating, Joe? I gave it a 3.5 because I enjoyed it.
It's a solid 3 for me. I'd feel bad giving it any higher or any less.
Okay, I gave it a 3.5 because I did actually. It really hit the spot for me. I don't know. Sometimes you watch a movie and you're just looking for a quiet. And sometimes I'm looking for a big blockbuster. Sometimes I'm looking for a quiet movie. I was looking for a quiet movie, and this just hit the spot for me.
It's funny because normally I love these kind of like quiet, like pseudo post-apocalyptic or disaster kind of things. I love The Road, which is a really quiet, like languid film. But I don't know. This one, as I said, it was just missing that like little bit of punch that I felt it needed.
Okay, so really, really quickly, because time is of the essence. I.S.S. quickly. Tensions flare in the near future.
I don't even know what this is.
We had seen the
What?
trailer a while ago.
We did.
Yeah. I
What
think it
is
was me and
this?
Franco, though, who had directed to the trailer.
Is this like a
Tensions
straight
flare.
to streaming thing?
No, it was in the cinemas. Made no money, by the way. Tensions flare in the near future aboard the International Space Station as a conflict breaks out on Earth. US and Russian astronauts receive orders from the ground, take control of the station by any means necessary. Directed by Gabriela Copperthwaite and written by Nick Schaffer. Starring Ariana DeBose, Chris Messina, John Gallagher, Masha Mashkova, Costa Ronin, and Pilu Asbayek. So it's a decent cast.
That can make a really good B movie.
And this is, I think, they were going for a B movie, right, style here. But
Really?
it's yes and no, because B movie in the sense of the scope of it all, but then the movie takes itself quite seriously.
It looks like, from the little flash I saw the trailer, it looks like it's taking itself completely seriously.
Yes, no, it's taking itself quite seriously, but then the scope of it all is very B movie-ish. Now, this is a movie which has a lot of potential. When I saw the trailer, I thought the trailer was great, really great tension in the trailer. And the movie does have a bit of that tension, which is probably its strongest aspect. It also has a very good cast. I mean, very talented cast. Chris Messina was decent. Pilu Asbayek was very good in this. Ariana DeBose was okay. I mean, she needs to be singing, right? She's a great singer. She should be singing. In this, she's okay. Nothing special. Decent suspense, and like the whole claustrophobic setting is perfect for that kind of tension, right? The score is okay as well. The VFX were surprisingly quite decent for a very, very, very low budget, small budget movie. There were massive explosions taking place over the US, which looked decent enough. It's an overall okay movie. It's an okay movie. I don't know why this movie got quite a lot of very negative scores. I mean, I could score it somewhere between a 2.5 and a 3. Again, somewhere in between those two. It's a decent enough thriller, nothing out of this world. Between a 2.5 and a 3. I mean, it's watchable. It's not bad. It's watchable enough. But I mean, basically no one went to watch it in the cinemas, to be honest. Literally no one knew this existed. And considering, again, Ariana DeBose, quite a hot actress right now, Chris Messina as well, Pilu Asbayek coming off quite, I mean, obviously Game of Thrones and whatnot. Yeah, I'm surprised this didn't get more hype behind it. But
this is the first I've ever heard of this film.
I understand, because I mean, I knew about this only because of the trailer. Only because the trailer popped up on my feed. That's it.
Fair.
It's a decent enough trailer. I mean, it's watchable, but nothing special. The ending, Ostra, was really disappointing. The ending was very disappointing. I wanted to mention that. And it was really, really disappointing. American Fiction, Joe.
Yeah, I only watched half of this because this is not a disrespect to the film. I was really enjoying myself, but I stupidly put it on at midnight, and I was really tired. And I wasn't falling asleep, but I was just like, I'm thinking that I really want to go to bed, and I'm not going to enjoy this film because of it. What I had seen, which was like, I'd say about an hour of the film, I was really enjoying.
Okay. Yeah, I agree completely. And I think this is a great movie. I think it's a really, really well-made movie. It's like a mixture of like comedy and drama, right? Lots of social commentary, lots of political commentary, lots of dark humor as well. It's a mixture of all those elements, right? Mixed with a very good family drama as well, because there's a very, very good family. I was surprised how good the family drama was, in fact. And I think that is thanks especially to the great screenplay by Cord Jefferson. I think it's a fantastic screenplay.
Yeah.
Very sharp when it needs to attack political sides. It does. When it wants to make you laugh, it makes you laugh. When it wants to make you cry, it doesn't make me cry, because I never cry. I never cry in movies. I don't know what it is. Like, I never cry in movies.
I'm the opposite.
I cannot cry.
I'd say I'm the opposite. It has to earn it from me.
Joe, I watched All of Us Strangers. I loved All of Us Strangers.
If you didn't cry in that, you're a psychopath.
I loved All of Us Strangers. I loved it.
You go to a doctor. I know a good shrink in Malta. If you like, I'll give you their number and you can go.
I loved All of Us Strangers. I really did love it, but I didn't cry.
I was a mess in that film.
I could feel the emotions, and I was
No,
like, "Oh my god, this is hitting me really hard."
the particular scene with his dad, holy shit.
Oh my god, that scene with the dad really hit me as well. But I couldn't cry. I wanted to
No,
cry.
it got me good.
I never cry in movies. I don't know what's wrong with me. But going back on topic, I mean, the movie does a really good job, right, on balancing the family story, the social commentary. But of me personally, I was always more interested in what was going on with the whole book issue of it all. I was more interested in like going into the whole that scene. Franco mentioned it in his review on Letterboxd, and I loved that scene. But you haven't seen this scene so far, Joe, because it's in the latter half of the movie. But there's a particular scene with a number of authors commenting about books in general. I'm not going to spoil the plot point, and
Was
it's
this
really
was this
good.
on the Zoom call?
Later on, face
Okay,
to face.
No, I've
The
seen it
Zoom
on
call was also
call.
really good. The Zoom
Yeah.
call made me laugh a lot because like you have the conservative there, you have the liberal, then you have obviously the two black authors as well. So really good stuff. Very funny. Like it's so good to see Jeffrey Wright in such a great role. He's fantastic. Sterling K. Brown, so good. His monologues, man, are fucking amazing.
That guy needs to be in more films.
He is so good and such a physical presence as well.
What are we doing?
He's such a presence, man. That guy should be an action star. He is so good. He's so good, and he's got such a presence. And just, I want to conclude on this: the way it deals with the stereotypes expected, the stereotypes expected from stories about African Americans. It's so fantastically done. I mean, the attacks on Hollywood, the attacks on the publishing industry, great stuff. And the whole family drama as well, really dealing with stuff like death, dealing with stuff like dementia, really, really heavy stuff. And it's all tackled in a really tactful manner, in a really well done manner. So this is a great movie. This is a 4 out of 5 for me. Really good movie.
I might finish it tonight. Tonight is usually True Detective night, so it might be that instead, but I really need to finish it. In fact, I'll probably just start it again. I don't like starting a movie halfway through.
Great stuff. I really liked the last episode of True Detective, by the way, Joe.
Episode 5?
Yeah. I really liked it. The ending. Whew. You're going to love it. So, Joe, final review for the day. The Iron Claw, coming out of Malta this week, I believe. Yeah, on Wednesday.
Very good. Yeah, so I had the pleasure to see this 3 days before most audiences in the UK. Shout out to Massive Cinema. Follow them on Instagram. They did a special preview of the film. And like for me, I remember hearing about this film. I was excited from like the moment I read about it, because confession about me, I am a sucker for a serious sports drama. Absolute sucker for it. I don't really need to like the sport. Moneyball. I hate baseball. I hate baseball. Sucks.
Moneyball.
But I love Moneyball.
So good.
The Wrestler, but with Mickey Rourke by Darren Aronofsky. I love that film. One of the first Blu-rays.
So good.
When I saw it secondhand, I bought and brought home. But anyway, The Iron Claw follows the true story of the inseparable Von Erich brothers who made history in the intensely competitive world of professional wrestling in the early 1980s. Now, another confession about me. When I was a kid, I fucking loved pro wrestling.
I loved wrestling.
Was my thing.
Me
so
too.
It's why I still have a soft spot for John Cena. He was my guy, and he always will be.
I was Rey Mysterio.
I loved Rey Mysterio as well. The fact that that guy the fact that guy at 5'5" won the World Heavyweight Championship.
I loved Rey Mysterio. I loved him.
But yes, so this is easy for me to buy into. Now that being said, I did not know who the Von Erichs were, because I wasn't like going into like the history of wrestling and stuff like that. Like the oldest wrestlers I knew were like Hulk Hogan or like Bret the Hitman Hart. I'd never heard of the Von Erichs. And this review is going to be completely spoiler free. I'm not going to touch on a single detail on the film. I'm merely going to talk about the way it made me feel, because I feel like that's what's important here. I feel like I got the best experience out of this film because I went in so blind, because all I knew about the Von Erichs and what they're doing very good in the trailers is that they were this ultimate wrestling family with 4 brothers, and their father was a wrestler as well, Fritz Von Erich. They had a tragic story, and they were allegedly cursed. That's all I knew. That is all you need to know, at least in my opinion, for you to get the full emotional punch that this movie banks on.
Joe, by the way, Mr. Steve Rogers has joined the chat. Please leave the MCU, Mr. Steve Rogers, or at least have a different actor, not Chris Evans.
Yes.
We're done
Yes.
with Chris Evans.
Give us Chris Rogers from 1357. I don't know.
No, jokes aside. Welcome, Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
Hope you're enjoying your stay here.
But back to this. Another confession about me as well, why I was excited for this film. One, I liked Sean Durkin's previous films, like in particular Martha, Marcy, May, Marlene. I really, really liked. Because he's got this ability as a director. He'd done it in The Nest as well, where half his movie can feel like one thing, but he sprinkles these little hints of something more sinister in it, which is what he did in Martha, Marcy, May, Marlene, which if people don't know, that's a movie about a young woman being indoctrinated into a cult and being taken advantage of. But you go through half the movie thinking, oh, look at this idyllic lifestyle, living with her friends, kind of like a camp kind of thing. But then you start to get to the more sinister part of things. Another reason why I was really excited for this film is, big confession from me, people don't expect it, huge fan of Zac Efron and always have been. Now, that is taking into account, I have never ever watched High School Musical. My experience with Zac Efron was, I remember when I was like, God, I must have been like 12 years old. There was this TV show on the network Trouble at the time called Summerland, which he had a short part in. And I remember even thinking at 12 years old, not that I was like some genius or something, but just being like, wow, this guy's like really charismatic and like really emotionally good. Like the way like he just like cries and stuff. He's a much better actor than anyone in this TV show. He's the only person from that TV show that went on to bigger and better things. But even as I started to see him in just more things, like especially in like the Ted Bundy film and stuff, he is someone the camera adores. He's so charismatic and just like good to look at and so physical in what he does. And this is like finally now he's gotten the movie which like I think he's really needed to kind of like catapult him past where he needs to go, because the whole cast is fantastic in this.
Yeah.
Like, but Efron has to be like the emotional like anchor of this film, and he does fantastically in it. Jeremy Allen White, I mean, he's one of my boys. I'm glad that now the world is adopting him as one of their own, along with Barry Keoghan as well. You're welcome. I found them years ago. I was right. Harris Dickinson, I was really impressed with in this film, because I didn't love Triangle of Sadness, and I thought his performance was a bit over the top in that, but he's fantastic in this. And then Holt McCallany, my OG from Mindhunter, one of my boys as well, also fantastic in this. Mauritania. So the cast I can't speak highly enough of. Now, to kind of conclude with this, because I feel like I'm rambling a little bit. As I said, Durkin has that ability to make you think a film is going one way, and then it goes a completely different way. And we know that this family are allegedly cursed and they have a tragic story. And I won't reveal the details of that. But it's amazing how there were parts in this film with like certain like needle drops of music and stuff. And like, okay, well, I just got distracted over there by Zac Efron's muscles. Also, Zac Efron is in the best shape I have ever seen an actor get in for a role in my entire fucking life. He's a Greek god in this film. It's ridiculous the shape that he's in. But anyway, apart from that distraction, there were parts in this movie where like you're feeling so good. I was like on cloud nine. I'm like, this is doing everything I want, like a sort of like pseudo sports biopic to do. And there's such chemistry between these brothers and stuff. And then it gets to the gut punch of the movie and stuff like that. And like I was in this like preview screening. There were two older women next to me. I don't mean old women. They were maybe like in their 50s. And they were like letting a few like tears go at certain points. But I was like, at one point in the film, especially the ending, I was like borderline inconsolable. It like hit me so hard. And that's because one of like the main things that this film tackles really well, and I don't think it's a spoiler to say, is this idea of machismo and being a man, and how we cannot be emotional and we cannot be tender with each other. But we probably always wish that we were. There's a scene in this film towards the end, which if I saw it written on a page, even like with the little screenwriting knowledge I have, I would go, that's a huge risk and that is not going to work at all. You cannot make that work in a film, but in this film, it just does. It does. And I've heard other reviewers say that about this certain scene as well, that it shouldn't work. Even Durkin himself agrees that scene should not work, but it just does, and it's because of the performances, it's because of the themes going through the film, it's because of the emotional weight that Efron carries through it, and it's because of the chemistry that all four brothers have going through it. This is like a real. It's almost like ballet for boys. What I've heard said about this film, and that's where I would agree. And that's not to say that obviously women or girls can't enjoy this film. I think they will as well, because the themes are very universal. But it is important to note this is striking more of a chord with male audiences, because as I said, it tackles that theme of being macho and stiff upper lip so well in this, and it's at times so like riveting and exciting and soaring, but at other times just so sad and so tender. Like, it probably would have been neck and neck with this film had I seen it in 2023 with All of Us Strangers for my film of the year. Because like for me, like the films that like really get me are the ones they get that emotional investment from me.
Okay.
And like probably the last film I had like such a visceral reaction to was All of Us Strangers, where I was just like, I can't control the emotions I'm feeling right now because of what's going on on screen. And I even just today, I was listening to the Big Picture podcast. Shout out to them, my favorite film podcast, because I never listened to their episode of The Iron Claw just in case there were spoilers on it. And I went back and listened to it today, and they were talking about certain scenes, and I was like driving in my car, and I was like nearly like tearing up again, like thinking about those scenes and like the emotions felt, and like. And again, like there are going to be parts of this film which are probably like objectively not perfect. But for me, the kind of person I am, from what I wanted from a film like this, it does everything and more of what I wanted to do. I'm not going to call it a perfect film because I can nitpick certain things, but the experience I had and what I wanted, I got everything and then some from it. It's really, really good. Like, it's, in my opinion, it's fantastic. I would recommend it to everyone and anyone.
Great stuff. Great stuff.
I can't believe it's really weird. It's not getting any awards attention whatsoever.
True way.
It's
a weird
bizarre.
one.
I feel like it just hit too late.
Yeah. And this is A24.
Yeah.
I don't think A24 had any budget for Oscar.
No,
for pushing this for the Oscars, unfortunately.
Probably got it on like Zone of Interest and other stuff. But it's a shame because to be honest, I'm not going to say the only weak performer is, I don't know the actor's name, but the one in the picture who Jeremy Allen White has his hands over. He's not the weakest performer. He just has the least to do. His character of Mike Von Erich.
Yeah.
But you could have nominated Efron, Dickinson, and Allen White, and I would say yes, they deserve a nomination for their work in this film.
Okay. Any rating, Joe?
For me, it gets the full 5 on this one, just based on. And again, that isn't to say it's a perfect film. I can find things I didn't like, and for me, this is purely based on emotion and experience that I had. Like I want to go see this film again immediately.
Great stuff. Great stuff. Great stuff. And with that, Joe, I think we can end the podcast here. It's been a surprisingly long one, for how short I wanted it to be.
But then again, when I come on like once a month, I guess.
Yeah, fair.
I need to make up for it.
But we had lots to talk about, lots of movies. Man, this week, the amount of movies that released, incredible stuff online, like on streaming services, incredible. It's been a great week. Lots of good stuff to watch. I'm excited to go watch The Iron Claw on Wednesday. Releases then, and the Bob Marley movie comes out as well on Wednesday.
Yeah, I've been hearing not so good things about that, which upsets me because I love Bob Marley.
I'll see. I'll watch it on Wednesday as well. It'll be a double header. And with that, viewers and listeners in the chat, thank you for joining us. Lots of views today. Thank you, Joe, as always. Always great to have you here. And as always, see you next time on the Adler podcast. Ciao, ciao, guys.